So before we get started, I just wanted to say, to the nation, for people who have listened to last week's episode, it was a bit of an intense emotional one for me, and I've had some great conversations in public on the timeline, but also just in the DMs with people, and I just wanted to say that obviously expressing the depth of my appreciation for Bruce Springsteen was a really raw moment, and it was so touching to know how many other people felt the same way. And I just wanted to get that out of the way.
I was gonna hijack that with a joke as well, but I couldn't remember anything about last week at all.
I know this, and the only thing I can remember is something that literally happened in the first 3 seconds of the episode.
Yeah, it feels like it was so long ago, and that episode was way too long.
Oh, so that's too far for you now. Like the Shut Up episode was too much. It was like 2 hours and a million minutes.
Yeah. I think it was only about 10 minutes longer than a normal episode, but it felt long.
Yeah, that's fair. I saw a post from one of the new accounts, which is Drunk 155 maybe, and it's just taking clips of the show and playing them at half speed, and we sound quite inebriated as a result. And it's like the 12th episode. There's like the Stockholm Syndrome episode, and the clip, which I can't listen to the whole thing because I don't really want to listen to myself talking that slow, but I got tagged in it, and it's me making fun of you in the 12th episode for wanting the episodes to all be like 90 minutes. And now they're all like 2.5 hour sort of sprawling epics.
Oh, yeah. And based on my notes and the guest spot that I've already recorded, we're in for quite a beast this
Good.
week.
Well, I'm glad the second song is getting like a really robust treatment.
Well, Sam, don't say that because no one knows what song we're doing yet. We haven't said it. It's a complete
okay.
reveal. Please keep the mystique alive.
I'll bleep that. I'll bleep how many seconds. So no one will know.
What was I going to say? Where were we?
I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I know what I was going to say. There's
good?
that new drunk account.
Yeah, okay.
And I feel like I can kind of guess who's running it. And the thing is that I'm starting to really come to terms with the fact that the Pod Nation is not growing, but it just feels like it is. Because the same four
I can't imagine why that is.
Instead of like starting another Twitter account, use your energy to go evangelize the pod to people.
It's true. Yeah, I don't think Drunk 155 is really helping spread the gospel the way that, maybe you could if you focused more of your energies just on a specific platform, a specific account.
Well, I was going to do a little holiday update. I think that was the segue that I just talked over a second ago.
That's fine. Instead of you literally did a 20-second, like we were on a horrible date. This really is like a dating show. We are on a date every week. Every week we're just sort of getting to know each other a little better, and then at the end it's like a reality TV show. So new episodes, and then at the end we will either decide to. At the end. Yeah, no, it's hump or dump, and that's what happens in episode 155.
I was going to do an update
so the holidays,
about
Josiah.
The holidays. I am referring specifically to the Christian holiday of Christmas. None of the others.
Yeah, that's the only holiday that the podcast recognizes. I want to make that 100% clear.
So there was all these questions about Sarah's Christmas party, how it was going to go.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, I was pretty damn nervous because these people are so indifferent towards me usually.
And I can't imagine, to be honest, I can see not liking you, Josiah. That wouldn't be a surprising, human reaction to your particular sort of way of existing. But to be indifferent to you, I think sort of actually requires a lack of imagination. It's a curious response.
I think I'm pretty bad at first impressions. I'm very shy. And it's really funny, actually.
You're not shy.
I honestly, when I first, whenever I've, started a new job or, met a new group of people for, the first week, I'm really shy. And then, inevitably, I always show someone the gif of a dragon fucking a car. It's like CGI, and that's sort of the test, the litmus test of if we can be friends or not. But for the first little while, I am pretty quiet and shy, so maybe that's why they're indifferent towards me. I don't know. But either way, I was pretty nervous, and it was actually not that bad at all.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. I mean,
there was people were talking to me. There were a few moments where I was like standing around in silence, just drinking a club soda that was going flat because I think Sarah's boss had told the waitresses to like be very scarce with their refills of everything. So I was just kind of standing around, and I wasn't even drinking alcohol. I mean, it would have been, if anything, they should have kept refilling my glass to keep up the appearances.
Right, just because that's cheap, so they can make it seem like everyone's glass is refilled, but in reality, they're only letting the people who are not drinking alcohol continue to imbibe.
Exactly. Are you imbibing if you're not getting drunk?
I guess. Well, is imbibing just the act of drinking? There's no way to know.
I think imbibing means that the person who's speaking is a pageman.
Right. That's all that it indicates. It actually, yeah.
But yeah, people were chatting with me. It was totally fine. But then, of course, Sarah had to get her tweets off. So she was like roasting me on Twitter for people's general indifference towards me. And then she even took a photo of me sitting alone at a table, but the boss's wife saw and was like, "What are you doing? Do you want me to take a photo of both of you?" So then there's a photo of both of us at the empty table that she took because it was too hard to explain what was going on.
Like yeah. So did you talk to anyone at the Christmas party about the pod? Like, did it come up? It
came up a little bit, but it was like 30 seconds into the conversation, I could tell the guy that I was talking to was like so normie that it just wasn't gonna work, but I also couldn't escape it, you know? Right. So I was like trying to explain like, you know, it's funny and we dick around and there's like a whole world that's been built out of us, and he's like, yeah, I really like true crime podcasts or whatever. And I'm like, fuck this guy. But the most fun I had was talking to one of the like higher up manager guys there. Not my favorite guy, to be honest, based on various things. But his son is kind of like the classic, like alternative son. He's really young, and apparently he's always like working on GarageBand at work, like making beats and stuff. He's all about like he knows people. He knows all the like 18-year-old house show noise kids here. So we were like talking about noise, and he goes to Chris Dadge's like bi-monthly noise night where like he sees people play noise music and stuff. And then once we had exhausted that topic, then we got to talking about like XXXTentacion and Adam 22 and Clout, and it was great. I mean, I think ultimately I just need to.
What the fuck?
I think I just can't talk to like 25-year-olds, but if you find me like a good 19-year-old alt person, I can go all night. So I think
these are your people.
Yeah, so that's really good.
Oh, I'm so happy that you found a child to connect with at the party.
Yeah, it's one of those child parties.
Noted child parties.
It was at Comet Ping Pong Pizza.
Right. Well, I'm so happy for you. You know, perhaps the next time you want to meet someone, you could try to build.
Say this. Pardon?
Built this pool.
I thought of a good intro just now as you were saying it. I was thinking about it earlier, and I couldn't think of a pun stupid enough to really like to imprint it on my brain and remember it for later. They were all just way too dumb. But then I thought you could have pretended that you like did No Nut November, or that you were staying at your parents' house, so you couldn't, you know.
Yeah, I could not rope in peace.
Yeah, exactly. So then you had built this pool.
Oh, that's good. I did spend a couple of nights at my parents' house, and so yeah. That it would have been like a joke based on a deeper human truth.
Did you? But you probably
deep in my balls.
You probably came all over everything at your parents' house to mark your territory again.
I did. I needed to let them know that like I'm still in charge. Like when I was in high school and everything in their house was covered in jizz.
They're like, the strangest thing happened in the 90s where everything in our home looked like Frosted Flakes.
Right. That was just like the style of decoration, though, right?
And it all disappeared. And then now that you're home for Christmas, all of a sudden, getting a real Frosted Flakes vibe in here.
It got frosty in there for sure. Pretty much everything was like more fragile. Like you knock something over, like a hand cloth or whatever, and it just shatters on the ground. So a lot of sweeping had to be done. A lot of stiff towels. So built this pool, which is, of course, what I've been doing for several days, is a song by the band Blink-182. We can now admit that it is 15 seconds long.
I didn't even check. Is that really how a lot of these covers of it are way longer?
Well,
like we're talking like 25 seconds sometimes.
Wow, really beefing it up, maybe like adding some new verses or something. But I believe including Travis going, "Is that it?" We're looking at about 15 seconds.
All right.
About.
All right.
I haven't measured it. I don't host a Blink-182 podcast.
Well, it's like you should be able to just look it up and see. But now I got to open Apple Music. It's going to crash my fucking computer.
It's going to ruin the pod.
It's going to ruin everything. And I just stupidly searched California. So now there's all these other things called California popping up.
So
good Lord. 16 seconds long. I mean, have you ever heard of something so crazy as 16-second song?
It's truly outrageous. I'm shocked to my very core. I'm clutching my pearls. It's just truly upsetting. The norms of popular music.
Now I'm trying to think if Tony Molina has a 16-second song, because if he did, it would have like 3 guitar solos and 2 key changes. It would be like an incredible song.
It would be. Well, do you not think this is an incredible song? Let's get this out of the way first. What's your feeling on "Built This Pool" by the band Blink-182, Josiah? Sick.
It's okay. It's not. Well, I mean, that's what we're about to talk about, isn't it? For the next 4 hours.
Yeah,
that's what we're going to get into.
For this podcast, it's going to be a much more reasonable length as opposed to the shut up episode. I guess there's an opportunity to get into it. I kind of want to ask right off the top about the sort of core, the theme of the song. So it's a short song, the essence of which is Mark wants to see some naked dudes, and that's why he built this pool. And the first thing that jumps to mind for me is like, if you wanted to see naked dudes, is building a pool. If you were going to build something, if you were like, let's say you're like a real DIY person, you love to, have little projects around the house or around the neighborhood, is a pool the most efficient route to more naked dudes for you to see?
That's really interesting. I never thought of that. I guess even building a sauna might be better.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. You build like, even a change room for the pool. Because in my mind, are you singing from the perspective of a homeowner who's putting up an above-ground pool in your backyard? I don't know that that's going to lead to a dramatic uptick in the number of naked dudes in your home.
Did you say building an above-ground pool?
Yeah, or, constructing, putting together an above-ground pool.
That was the other thing I was thinking about, is that it's interesting how the word build makes you think of like creating something that is an upward motion, whereas when you build a pool, if it's not above ground, I don't know where you're getting this above ground thing from. That's just, you're completely adding your own experience.
I'm just thinking about types of pools that
I was thinking that it was like installing a pool, but for some reason, to me, when there's digging involved and it goes down, I don't think of it as building. It would be more like dig a pool or install a pool. Yeah,
that's why I excavated this pool.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, do you excavate a pool?
Like, I don't really think that you build a pool if it's going in the ground. I'm sure that's wrong, but you don't. It's not very often that you think about building down.
How to build a pool?
Please, Sam, please don't get ahead of my research.
God damn it. Sorry, man. I didn't mean to rob you. But just so that I'm 100% clear, then that's how your research goes for these shows, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool.
Yeah. I don't know. That did kind of throw me off, and I think that's one of many examples of how this tight, terse little joke is flawed in so many ways.
Yeah, absolutely. So would you build a sauna? Like, if that would be your project as a naked dude enthusiast?
I mean, I just think here's my real question, and you started it, so now we're gonna go right into the annoying woke part. And so if you haven't turned it off already, you're gonna turn it off now.
Right.
But is this song a little bit homophobic or gay panicky?
I don't think so. Do you think so? Is that what the internet thinks?
The internet doesn't think that, but I don't base my thoughts on what the internet thinks, Sam.
Oh, okay. Well, as a person who constantly looks to the internet for, just to understand which way the wind is blowing, I haven't seen a lot of the song. It doesn't strike me as really gay panicky because, like, in order for it to be gay panicky. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's not like a joke. It's not like a setup and a punchline. But essentially, the narrator of the song, like, well, hey, Mark, why did you build this pool? It's like, oh, I wanted to see more naked dudes.
Right. But
I don't know if that's like, is
about,
that a gay joke? I don't think it is.
Well,
there's
a cover later that we'll talk about that it really ramps up the homophobia.
Okay.
So at least it's the start of something. But I was just thinking more in terms of, like, it would be unacceptable for him to say, I want to see naked girls. That's why I built this world. I don't know. if it could work as a song. If he was saying that I want to be creepy and voyeuristic to girls, everyone would be like, oh, that's sketchy. You can't say that in 2016. That's fucked up. You're not allowed to be a creep to girls. But then because it's like being a creep to guys, then everyone's like, oh, that's just being gay is funny. It's fine to be a creep to them. So I just feel like there might be a little bit of a double standard.
Right. I guess to my mind, the joke isn't that it's like funny to be like a creepy gay, is that because Blink-182 is at this point in their career in 2016 a fairly established cultural presence. People are perhaps aware of Mark Hoppus's sexual preferences, and he can sort of make this cheeky joke about building a pool to sort of increase the amount of nudity around him from the perspective of someone who specifically wants to see dudes, and have people be like, oh, he's not making a joke about being a creepy gay man, nor is he making a joke about being a creepy straight person if he was singing about women. We just know that he never really built this pool.
But is it still not a sort of like something sketchy in the contract of coming over to Mark's house that you think you're just going to be swimming in his pool, but he actually built it with ulterior motives to see your dinky or your balls? Dinky or your balls.
Imagine if he just built it to see the balls. Like he was like, I built it, but I just want to see balls. I haven't quite figured out how to sort of...
But I'm just saying there is something about the ulterior motives that I'm still thinking, like, if he said, I'm trying to trick girls into getting naked in front of me, you wouldn't just be like, oh, well, he's not necessarily saying he's being a creep. It's just he wants to see the anatomy. It's like a whatever. But because it's men, you're like, I want to trick men into getting naked in front of me. Then everyone's like, oh, that's funny. You know, it's just kind of maybe a double standard.
Right. I think you're right. So, okay, so the song is bad now. I don't like it.
It was always bad, though, because the thing is, like, it could be, sure, it's economical, it's 2 lines, but it could be so much funny. Like, there are so many 2-line jokes that you could turn into a song.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to defend, like, I don't actually like the song, nor do I think it's necessarily a funny joke. I guess what I struggle with is, like, I think what you're saying makes total sense, and like literally, if anyone who's like not also like a cis straight person says to me like the song's sort of gay panicky and offensive, got it, totally. But like this is where I wonder how much I start doing something that I know I've been criticized for on this podcast of like just bending over backwards in an attempt to sort of be woke and ending up with my head up my ass where like I'm not really offering I'm rarely offering any insight, but where like I'm actually wrong. And so I guess I just read this as like dumb and not gay panicky and not homophobic-y.
Well, also,
if someone reads it in that way, then I'd like that's legitimate.
I think, yeah, and it's also like sometimes these things are so dumb that they almost got to pass because whatever cultural baggage it carries, it's like so stupid that it doesn't matter. And it's not going to affect anything.
It's too dumb to matter. Well, what's the consensus on, like, we've talked before about, the sort of 90s, like, homoerotic humor of Blink, of things like Jackass. Like, is the consensus today that, like, Jackass is sort of like, male nudity, male touching, like, and that sometimes, like, is the joke gay panicky, or do we agree that Jackass is just, like, funny? Like, what's the current cultural? Because to me, this falls into the kind of, like, Jackass realm of, like, just boys being boys. That's the worst thing I could have said.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know I don't care about consensus. It doesn't really matter to me what, like I'm not waiting for someone to say this is good or bad before I decide. I'm not necessarily saying this is bad either. I'm just kind of thinking out loud. But it's interesting you brought this up because Jake Puppy Teeth, who was on the pod a few weeks ago, I don't know if you listened yet or not. I'm not trying to put you on blast, but it sounds like you might not have, or you did. It could be either way.
I haven't got to it yet.
Well, it's interesting because he mentioned Jackass and Blink-182 as being like sort of things that helped him in pop culture get in touch with his sexuality, and kind of like putting a naked Blink-182 poster on his wall in his room was a good way for him to like kind of subversively express his sexuality with still hiding behind it being a joke. So
right.
For him, it was like, I don't know. Everyone should listen to that if they haven't yet, because I'll let him speak for himself. But there definitely is some value for some people in these things. But I also think that the vast majority of people who are obsessing over Blink-182 songs are kind of dumbasses. And so they don't necessarily have the nuance to see that they just like, we'll get to it later, but there's a parody that's like, I'm not attracted to girls. I just want to like have sex with a guy, and it's like a joke. I don't know. It's very intensely uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to say that you and I probably represent the average intelligence of a Blink-182 fan, and so using us as like the sort of middle point, yeah, for sure. There's going to be people who are even dumber, people who are capable, like Jake Puppy Teeth, that of maybe expressing a more nuanced opinion about, Blink and discovering your own sexuality. Maybe there are kids listening to this and being like, "Ooh, finally someone is verbalizing for me my need to see naked dudes in a pool."
I mean, regardless
or
of
ready to go in the pool, I don't know.
Regardless of the posturing of trying to be woke or whatever, and I'm not like saying that I know what I'm talking about at all. I'm just trying to say this is what
asking the
I thought
question.
of.
Yeah,
because it does seem like a weird cultural double standard, but the actual joke here is just obviously what you're saying. He did some stupid roundabout way to achieve his silly goal, and I think it's almost funny. Like, it kind of seems like a throwback, like almost like a Rodney Dangerfield type joke or something, or not Rodney Dangerfield.
The classic Rodney
sillier.
Dangerfield.
Like it seems like, or it could be like maybe like a Naked Gun movie could have a scenario like this.
Yeah, like an incredibly, like building a pool, as apparently we're going to get to, is a time consuming and expensive process, and going to all of that trouble just for something as simple as seeing more male nudity is. A humorous juxtaposition, I believe, is what we're getting at, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Or an attempt at one.
But you've dived into the lyrics so early that there was before we talk about the content of the song more, I wanted to talk about something that's happening right now in the pod, and I don't know how long this is going to last, and I don't know what's the deal, but I think it's literally Green Day season.
Oh my God, that's right. Because last week we had the like, "What if Mike Dirt was in Blink" video, which was so sick until it was quite bad.
Yeah, and then someone had like a fucking meltdown on Twitter about how much they hate Green Day. Someone in the nation, which is great to watch and like insane. Like, how could you be so mad at Green Day? Sure. Green Day, I feel like, is Tom DeLonge as a whole. Like, the highs are so high and the lows are so low. But they're never playing it safe. But then I realized it was Green Day season because I had been planning to do this song for a while around this week. And this song sounds like Green Day, like crazy.
Yeah, I guess I have trouble, like, thinking of it without all the shitty J. Feld's production. But you're right. It's totally like, if only it had the like kind of Trey Cool like ba-dow way of playing drums, which is like always the like N1 fill, which Travis Barker never does. But
yeah, but even still, I find the drums on this one to be way more bouncy than typical T-Barks.
He actually does do the N1.
Yeah.
Like he's playing it totally like Trey Cool. That's sick.
Yeah, so it's totally... anyways, someone pointed out on Reddit, because I was thinking this sounded like Green Day, and then it totally does sound like Chump. Like, listen. Should we just listen to that whole album right now?
Oh my god, dude! Oh my god, Dookie! Oh, Dookie's good. Dookie's so good.
It's so good. So it is Green Day season right now.
Let's get. Do you think Billy Joe would ever do the pod?
He hates pop punk. I would love it. I would love to hear what Billy Joe has to say, because I think he also like openly hates Blink.
That would be great. It would be. We must have some root in, right?
I mean, maybe Brace Belden can go knock on his door.
Yeah. Okay. So hit up Brace and see what he can do. But yeah, that like it's just Chump. It's just like if Chump sucked.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, let's just do like Dookie season and just drop like 12 episodes in the middle of this podcast.
Dookie
Sclusies. Oh my god, I want to talk about that record. Yeah, this is a bad Green Day song. Which I mean, look, Green Day have some awful songs, so it's not alone.
Yeah, but Green Day songs are bad in such a different way.
Well, yeah. What's interesting about Green Day is they go wrong when they attempt the really kind of grandiose, like, I'm fucking John Lennon shit. And Blink, I feel like, go wrong when they try to do the, like, we're still 20.
Yeah.
Like, and this is we're still young, man. Like, Green Day can go back and do kind of like punk stuff pretty well, you know?
Exactly. But then when they do like fucking, like, they're like, oh, we're trying to be Tom Waits and the Clash, but it just sounds like a Fringe Festival. Yeah.
truly Fringe Waits. It's bad. It's as soon as they got into the, like, because I've said this before, like, I like American Idiot, and it's the record after that is when it was like, oh no, because they just became totally unmoored from what made them good.
Yeah.
And then there was like Unos Dos Tres, and I think the first one is the one that's like kind of punker, and it's like pretty good.
Well, have you listened to the newest one from around the time of California?
I put it on once, and I remember just sort of it didn't connect, and I never listened to it again. What's the deal?
I gave it a few tries. I've tried it on a road trip with Sarah, and she begged me to stop playing it, so...
Really?
I did, yeah. But she just she doesn't have the same pop punk tolerance that I have, and that's why I love her, because it's really she inserts some level of taste back into my brain.
She keeps you in check. And for people who want to know more about how Sarah keeps you in check, you just did an entire podcast that's like Josiah and Sarah Origins on Classroom Crush.
Classroom Crush, which is that podcast is dating our podcast, is sort of the narrative that
right.
Rebecca is doing. So
that's canon. So as soon as I finish talking to you for 3 hours about a 15-second song, I'm then going to go out and listen to you talk to someone else about your relationship with your wife.
I feel like you've got a lot of Josie content to catch up on.
I do, because now I feel like I got to listen to this Jake Puppy Teeth. Like, I haven't listened to any of the guest spots in a minute, and... yeah, so from now until New Year's is really like a lot of Josie content for me.
Hell yeah. Okay, back to Build This Pool.
Yes.
Let's listen to what they have to say about it on the Enemy track by track video that Enemy did. And I do feel like I need to credit Enemy as much as possible, because as someone who like aggregates news stories and writes clickbait for a living partially, I'll often write something that Enemy has found from somewhere else. You know, it's like a fucking human centipede of content, basically.
Right.
But say Enemy has like taken a quote from Spin, and it's on Enemy, and I'm just like, well, I'm not going to go to the source. The quote's right here. I'll copy and paste it from Enemy. But they have made this code where whenever you copy and paste something from Enemy, it adds read more at enemy.com/ like, they've added that to their clipboard.
Nice.
I hate it. Come on.
No, I like that. I respect that. I respect content, and I respect that.
I respect content too much that I don't think you should be adding your URL to it.
Well, I guess
this has been the Pageman's Corner.
Yeah.
Here's Built This Pool discussed on Enemy.
I wanna see some naked dudes. Built This Pool is a song that I had been working on for years. As funny as that is to say, it's totally true. It's just something that I made up years ago and just would play as a joke every now and then. And we were in between takes at the studio, and I played it for John, and he started laughing. And he's like, "We have to record that right now." And so we recorded it. And the funny thing is at the end of the song when Travis goes, "Is that really it?" Travis didn't know what was happening because he would come in and had played drums on a different song, and then John said, "I'm going to play you this 4-bar rock song. You get a 4 count in, and then wrap it up." And so Travis gets 4 counts in, and he starts playing along, and the song ends, and he finishes his drums, and he goes, "Is that really it?" And we kept that in as well.
Lots of Travis vocals on this record.
Yeah.
2, in fact.
So...
That was a fascinating insight from NME. Thank you so much, NME.
Learn more at youtube.com/watch?V equals capital C, capital U, NO5_GLBU4. And that is a joke that I stole from the latest season of People Just Do Nothing. So shout out to anyone who watched that. And so Mark says in this that he's been working on it for years. And it's true. And this is an example of
that's not a funny joke?
That wasn't a funny joke. It's completely true. Oh. The video has been taken down, but he previously sang it to Amy Schumer on his Fuse TV show. Because remember, Amy Schumer got her start, one of her starts, as his co-host on this Fuse TV show, like in some sort of, I can't figure out how long ago it was. It feels like it exists outside of time, but maybe 2009 or something.
So... Okay, wait. So that's not a joke, and this is sort of one of those things, like, you know, Tom working on the "I'm Sorry" riff in the middle of Peggy Sue Live, or whatever, the Up All Night riff being in the background of them recording the self-titled album. Built This Pool has been floating around in one
for
form
10
or another
years.
for a decade, and for 7 years before they actually recorded it.
Yeah.
That now I fucking hate this song, because the idea of like, hey, it's a funny joke, and we've always been a band that had a sense of humor and just tossed off like, why the fuck not kind of thing. But to be like, this is funny, and then 7 years later be like, let us return to this hilarious joke is like,
it's very, very upsetting, because like, I think I've said this before, I'm completely against Twitter drafts. It's kind of like in what's that thing? Marie Kondo's Marie Kondo's The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. In that, because Sarah read it, she actually read the manga version, but it did help us.
Wow.
We got rid of so much shit from reading this. And one thing she says is that you should never have storage in your house, because you're just going to fill it with shit that you don't ever look at or care about. So just don't let yourself have storage. Just either keep it or get rid of it. Don't put it in storage. And I feel the same way about Twitter drafts. Like,
so you've applied that to your social media style. Okay.
Because I think Twitter is fucking disposable. People love to whine about Twitter, but the point of it is to just get some shit out. Just get your tweets off. Who gives a shit? Doesn't matter. So I never keep drafts. I tweet every idiotic idea that comes to my head. Sometimes they're awful.
That. Yeah.
Today Sarah got mad at me for one I did yesterday because I said Twin Peaks was originally called that because there's 2 seasons and you can't help but peek at them. And she got really mad at me about that and said, I'm not faving that. It's fucking terrible. But you know what? What, am I going to leave that in my drafts and come back to it 2 years later?
How are you going to work on that? Like, that joke is terrible, but there isn't a better version of it.
Exactly. But at the same time, I understand this feeling of like a stupid joke pops into your head, and if you don't do something with it, it's going to haunt you. You have to do, like, if you have a certain kind of brain, if a joke pops into your head, no matter how stupid it is, it's going to keep you up at night if you try to. It's like you become the guy from the movie Pi, and you're just like doing all this shit in a scary black and white.
I like the idea that Pi is actually about Twitter jokes.
Yeah.
It's like, something about, thanks, Obama. I don't know. Oh, no.
But anyways, I can kind of relate to this idea of like this stupid joke is stuck in his head and he has to do something with it. But it's just like, just tweet it, or just, it should have been a bonus track. Like, this should be on California Deluxe at least.
Yeah, no, that like it's everything about the sort of narrative that you've just detailed is like what I hate about this era of the band.
Well,
It's just like the most calculated version of having fun.
totally. But I think it's kind of, and I keep hearing how nice of a guy he is, so I feel bad about it. But I think it's Feldy's fault, because he's the he indulges these ideas too much and is like, oh, everyone's going to think that's funny. It reminds me actually of, I did a speech at my brother's wedding that fucking killed. It was very funny.
I thought you were so shy, Josiah. How'd you get up in front of all those people?
I was very nervous and very shy. I was like shaking. So as a result, I like overwrote it and did a fucking hilarious speech. But my cousin, for some reason, wasn't at the wedding but wanted to be with the family, so he flew to Vancouver the next day. So he missed the wedding, but he was there for like the family times. And my mom was like, oh, that speech was so funny. You gotta say it to your cousin. He's gonna love it. It's gonna be so funny. So she like forced me to just read my speech aloud to one other person who does not have the same sense of humor as me at all.
Oh wow, that sounds super fun.
It was fucking awful.
So she's Feldy.
She's Feldy in this scenario where it's like you just assume that everyone's going to be into it, and it's going to be, that's I think that's funny. Everyone would love to hear that. And so, yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
Can you do the speech like for us now? Like, do you still have that on your computer? Could you pull it up? Because I'm sure I speak for everyone who's listening to this podcast right now when they would love for us to stretch out again a 15-second song into like a multi-hour epic that includes a wedding speech.
Listen, I'll do, if anyone from the Pod Nation gets married and wants me to do a wedding speech, just fly me out. Just want flight and hotel, and I'll do a speech at your wedding.
Wow. Okay.
I've gotten good at them. I mean, I think the one I did at Mark's wedding was pretty funny too.
It was very actually. I can vouch for Josiah here. I saw him give a speech at a wedding fairly recently in the last couple of years, and it was very funny.
There you go. See, I just get so. But this is. I'm not trying to brag about my speech writing skills here.
I feel like you are, man.
This isn't Pod Save America.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
That works, right? Isn't that guy a speechwriter?
Yeah, he was O'Bungler's speechwriter.
But his name's Jon Favreau. Like, you got to
like
rebrand, buddy. There's already one Jon Favreau. You can't do that.
And he made one of the greatest American films of all time, Swingers.
You do love Swingers, don't you?
Of course I love Swingers. I mean, I don't think it's one of the greatest American films of all time, but I love Swingers.
I've never seen it, but, I mean,
I'll be honest,
totally...
I think you would like Swingers, man.
Your favorite movies are Swingers, and I'm not going to mention
Entourage,
Justice League.
The movie. Yeah.
Yeah, but Swingers, Fight Club, and I'm going to go ahead and say you probably love Lock, Stock, or Boondock Saints or whatever.
Boondock Saints. I'll be honest. I like Lock, Stock. I think Boondock Saints is a terrible film, but like entertaining. Have you seen the documentary about the guy who made Boondock Saints?
No, of course I haven't.
No, it's really interesting because he's like this dude, and he had like the hottest spec script in Hollywood, and he owned a restaurant or a bar or whatever, and so all of these like famous people were like coming to his restaurant, like trying to make friends with him because everyone wanted to option his script, and he's basically like such a megalomaniacal and sort of like self-sabotaging dickhead that he burned all these bridges and ultimately had to make Boondock Saints himself. And then it became like this huge cult thing that's, like dorm room poster kind of standard issue.
Like I think you love all the dorm room poster movies, and that's fine. You're allowed, but
I don't love that. No, I don't love Boondock Saints. But again, I think the story of it is quite fascinating.
You're over here like, choose life. I chose heroin.
I did recently watch Trainspotting 2, and I loved it.
All right, we got to move on.
Yep.
So I think it is Feldy encouraging them, like my dear mother, with her endless optimism, thinking that my cousin would love my speech, and it's just not a good idea. But because it sounds like Mark had to be sort of cajoled to do this.
Yeah.
And I also think he's perhaps already. Not only did he mention it on the Fuse TV thing that's been deleted, but he did mention it somewhere else. I don't really know what this is from. Do you know who James Ingram is? some sort of record producer guy? Is he? You go for lunch with him this week or anything?
we do a lot of lunches. He sometimes kind of gives me a download of sort of how
download.
The workers.
We were trying to figure out what's the word for powwow the other day.
Right, that isn't offensive.
Someone DM'd and said huddle is what they say at their office.
Yeah, that's good. Huddle is good. Yeah. Okay, cool. So me and James, we'll have a huddle. We'll kind of table a couple of items, but
maybe this is the wrong James Ingram because he's worked with Quincy Jones and Dolly Parton and John Tesh. I'm confused.
He co-wrote the theme to the Beethoven sequel. So that sounds great.
So he's also a classical composer, you're saying?
Yes, yes, exactly.
Anyways, I don't know what this is from, but Mark was talking to James Ingram about new songs, and this is amazing. I can't believe we've never found this before. This video, I'm going to play you, includes snippets of songs that were for the new Blink-182 album that they were working on before Tom left.
What?
And this is not a drill or a joke. Okay?
Okay.
So here we go.
This week, James, we've been in the studio this week. We've been working on ideas.
We are working on
ideas. I don't know if they're for Blink. I don't know if they're for Nothing and Nobody. I just get in the studio and write, and you've been here with me, and here's 5 seconds of one song. And here's 5 seconds of another song. And here's 5 seconds of another song. I want to see some naked dance. That's why I built this pool. So it's been a pretty productive week. We've been in the studio and just creating. It's good.
Yeah, we should do this more often.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
In there was 2 songs that sounded unbelievably good.
The second song sounded like an Alkaline Trio song, so...
It kind of did, but the first one was almost some Angels and Airwaves vibes.
Yeah.
But I think even in the context of that, it's that's funny. Or if it was always something that he only did in interviews, and then the fans were oh, he only does it in interviews, that's funny. But then to try to make the definitive version of the joke is just... It's like when SNL would make movies out of characters that should not have movies.
Right, where you're okay, Night at the Roxbury. That's a funny joke on TV, and then you stretch that into 90 minutes, surprisingly successful, actually.
Yeah, actually quite a good, probably the worst possible example you could have made.
Yeah,
I like that movie. But
the movie is actually really good. Okay, what did they give? Did It's Pat get a movie?
Yeah, Pat got a movie, but it also might have a cult following. So perhaps this is really falling apart.
Fuck. What about Mango? Is there a Mango movie?
If there was a Mango movie, I'm sure it would have been bad, but maybe not. MacGruber
or maybe
was
more
good.
Appropriately, sort of in the vein of this song is potential sort of gay panic, sort of homophobic jokes. Is there a gay Hitler movie?
Right. Yeah, it's called The Sam Sutherland Story.
Right, okay. I was what are you trying to set up with that?
I don't know. But I'm tired. I've eaten too much chocolate and now I just want to have a nap.
Okay. So in that context, that's funny. And also I would love to know what happened to those 2 other songs. But that's fine. That's a good dumb thing. Or to do it on your show with Amy Schumer, that's funny. And you're right. The idea that it's always it's a bit of any sort of dumb kind of joke that's always happening sort of deep in interviews and is a good callback.
Whenever Paul Rudd was it on Conan? And he would always show a clip of Mac and Me. Yeah, that's then it becomes sort of an oral history, a spoken thing where it's oh yeah, we just talk about that he does it all the time, but not necessarily putting it right out there.
Imagine if Paul Rudd then announced a reboot of Mac and Me.
Yeah.
And was that wouldn't be funny. I don't want Mac and Me is a perfect film. I don't want Paul Rudd to remake it.
Or remember how Conan used to pull the lever that would play Walker Texas Ranger clips, and it was really funny. But then that spawned a dark 20-year period of Chuck Norris jokes.
That's true. Yeah.
But I feel like
too much of a good thing.
And that's the fault of the public for ruining the joke. But in this case, Blink-182 is taking it upon themselves to ruin their own joke and make it annoying. And that's a great segue to point out after they recorded it, they did do this sort of like meta internet thing. Like when this came out, when they released this, I was very irritated. So
oh god.
The context of this is prior. I'm just only talking to Sam right now. I'm not explaining what I'm talking about, and that's fine. That's fine. In 2015, Nathan Fielder asked for Tom DeLonge's verse on I Miss You to be looped for 10 hours. Mm-hmm. And I don't really know why, except that Nathan Fielder is a DeLonge head, and we have confirmation of this from a fan of the pod DMing him and asking him on the show, and he said he's not doing pods right now, but he thinks Tom DeLonge's really interesting. That did happen.
Yeah, that's true. You could send out the screen cap of that if anyone sort of doubts the veracity.
But he's also had like Tom DeLonge in the background of episodes of Nathan For You. He's down with DeLonge. I don't know why he asked for this 10-hour loop, but then someone made it, and it was kind of like, even though it was funny, I kind of thought like it was a bit too internets for Nathan. It's kind of like some interweb ass shit. But then a year later, when Blink-182 Built This Pool, they released it as a 10-hour loop on YouTube. And that's so, like, now they're just stealing Nathan Fielder's dumb idea and making it their own, and then they're trying to own a joke that they're the punchline of.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I read this less as a specific rip of the Nathan Fielder joke and more like generally being late to the sort of 10-hour loop party. Although obviously there's like a prominent one that was made of one of their songs. It's still not funny. But like, do you think this is directly like, because this is a thing, like 10-hour loops of like some dumb thing. You probably find 100 10-hour loops of Sandstorm online.
Well, I didn't really think I didn't think to search like the origin of it, but I do feel like Nathan Fielder's one was an earlier one of that.
Yeah,
maybe.
Totally. It definitely but it's at the height, and that's why I think it's almost right to sort of critique Nathan, who's so often much more on the vanguard of humor, for just like leaning on what was like a sort of big internet joke at that time. But also, it's not like it was on the show. This is just someone who wanted to hear 10 hours of Tom's verse and I Miss You, and he got it. So that's great.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would never knock Nathan. Please.
Sorry,
I'm sorry, Nathan. I love you. But I'm just saying, yeah, I don't know. This is just sort of like a winky way to release the song that's just kind of annoying.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I get that. It's fucking dumb. Like,
and then people like, and I don't want to. There are funny covers of it that we're gonna get to in a second, but people were kind of like talking about it in a joking way that's just like, it's annoying. Like, I'm just so irritated by shit like this that I just sent you this Imgur link. I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name, but it's like that old-timey painting dude who's like pointing at the camera and smiling.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like you should read this.
I desire to view garmentless gentlemen. Thus the reasoning I constructed this recreational pond.
Doesn't that just make you want to die? Crawl into a hole and die?
I don't feel good about this, Josiah.
It makes me want to find like a weird wall in my building and just crawl into it and disappear and never awake.
Why are you crawling into a wall? Like, I think you're going to like run into a wall, just sort of continually smash your head into it, but you just want to sort of find a wall that you can sort of creep inside and die.
For some reason, my ad blocker is not working on Imgur, and I just got an ad for this, which seems perfectly suitable. It's like this weird. I keep getting these targeted ads for like these hoodies that are also night garments. Like,
oh my god, you should get this, man. So this is an ad for a hoodie that also comes with a full like felt Knights helmet. Oh my god,
it's only $18.
Is it? Well,
yeah.
I didn't get you anything for Christmas, so maybe it's. Oh my god, that's so good.
There's a lighter color too. It's really bad. Imagine seeing someone like walking down the street wearing this.
I'd be like, "Hello, me." Which color do you like better? Do you like the gray color or the
I kind of like the light tan
Light
one is
gray?
very gross.
What do you think? You think you're like are you a
Ooh,
large?
the green is nice.
There's a green. Oh my
There's
god.
a forest green.
Wow, that's so nice.
Now what? And I'm not trying to say anything about like that it's bad, but I'm just interested in that the ad assumed that I'm a double XL. of this.
Well, just basing it on like all your searches for like, Boxing Day deals on candy, probably.
Yeah, exactly.
The
I don't
site
know,
has a lot of great items, and I know we should move on from it, but now I'm looking at a hoodie that is sort of like in the vein of one of those classic like tuxedo t-shirts. So it's a hoodie, but it's got a like fake like whole sort of, you got a blazer on, like a nice coat, and then a white button-up
the tuxedo
shirt.
shirt is on. It'll never die. And in fact, recently, Lin-Manuel Miranda updated it so that he's just wearing like a nice. I think this is meant to be just sort of like the collar of a nice, serious cardigan sweater.
Wow, that's great. Good.
But look at his
looks
face.
like a
Also,
diaper.
he looks like he's nutting in this photo.
He's nutty with his diaper shirt on. But this hoodie, anyway, it's got a pocket square and it has a tie with a tie clip, and the tie says Legendary. And it is being broken up by the tie clip. So I just want to say, if anyone else wants to get me a belated Boxing Day gift, this is only $19.97 right now. So
This is kind of what we're talking about in general. Like, there was a time, and it's literally impossible to remember, but there was a time where the tuxedo t-shirt was kind of funny. Like in 1995, when you first saw Joey Jeremiah wear it, you're like, that's funny.
no, totally. This song is a tuxedo t-shirt. It's just like, cool. I get it, man. Or it's worse. It's the Lin-Manuel Miranda shirt.
I know. Like, people just have to ruin every joke. And I think this joke would have been great if it was just every time Mark does an interview, he talks about the pool.
Yeah, exactly. Like, just, again, make it your Mac and Me thing. If that was his Mac and Me thing, and then, like, imagine at some point, like, we're doing the pod, and we think we know how many songs there are, and someone's like, well, are you guys ever going to do Built This Pool? And we're like, oh, wow, that's, like... We haven't thought of does Built This Pool count as canon? Like, imagine a world in which, like, Built This Pool sort of floats around on the periphery of being, like, a proper part of the Blink discography. Like, that's actually that's really funny. If it was just, like, and maybe we only uncovered it because it's like, oh, here's a clip from his Fuse TV show, and then, like, later on we hear that clip, and we're like, wait, what the fuck? Like, is that the same song? Like, it'd be a really fun meme, and instead it's just like this like blunt instrument of humor, and it's not good.
There's another thing that's making them fly a little too close to the sun with it, which is that even in the context of that video of Snippets, you hear these two songs that sound amazing, and then you hear Built This Pool, and it's the high-low brow divide.
Totally,
and that's why these joke songs worked on Toy Page, too, because Toy Page is an incredible album with, like, huge pop songs and, like, amazing experimentations with their sound and just very creative and intense and immediate. So then to have these joke songs at the end, it's very jarring, whereas Built This Pool kind of still sounds compressed to shit so that like, the song is almost no different than Sober or any of the other songs.
No,
including
totally.
The caliber of the joke is the same as, like, the jokes that they put in Only Thing That Matters or whatever.
Yeah, it's like there's no signifier that it's, I don't know. Yeah, it's that sort of just flattening of everything, and it just makes it also sound like so deliberate. I get, like, leaving the Travis, like, is that it thing is sort of designed to make it feel more casual. But
even those kinds of things feel like I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, all right, now just say, was that it? Even though they're saying it was totally off the cuff. Like, I feel like when you're drumming, you don't have a mic on your mouth either. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm being unfair, but I doubt his overhead mics picked it up that clearly.
maybe he said it. Maybe he's got a talkback mic, and maybe he said it into the talkback mic, Josiah.
And they just happen to be recording.
And they always record the
mic.
talkback in case someone says something like that makes the song seem more real.
So in order to make it extra off the cuff, they make sure to set up an extra mic.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, so, like, I'm quite proud of Junior Battles has a couple of joke songs, and they are all recorded live into Aaron's iPhone, and they only exist on the B-side of a cassette that there were like 100 copies made of. And I remain immensely proud of the fact that like we had some dumb jokes, we recorded them in the worst capacity possible, and we put them on the B-side of something that no one will ever listen to. And like in that sense, they exist as like this weird dumb thing that like someone's maybe listened to the B-side of that tape once. I don't know if anyone's ever listened to the A-side. And I'm just saying I'm better than Mark Hoppus is the moral of that story. I'm now realizing.
Well, I mean, I guess if that's what you want to believe.
Yeah, that's what I believe. Just, your jokes don't always have to be like so professional.
Don't read the wedding speech the day after the wedding.
No, that's it. Some things are designed to live in, like, Built This Pool is a great joke in situ.
I just realized if you say built this pool quickly enough, it sounds like you're saying built to spill. And that's cool.
Built this pool. Yeah, that's true. Maybe I know there have been some quite prominent covers of this song, Josiah, but it might be interesting to see if Built to Spill would consider.
If they just did a fucking 30-minute jam like their Cortez the Killer cover, that'd be so sick.
Yeah, totally.
If anyone listening knows Doug March from Built to Spill, can you connect me with him? I literally just want to give him a hug. That's all I want to do.
Okay, so we put that out into the nation. Someone's going to be able to help out.
Where are we here?
We're talking about Built This Pool by Blink-182.
All right. Well, this was going to be really funny, but you ruined it.
What?
So, let's just watch this together.
I don't think this was going to be funny, man. Oh, wait, what the fuck?
See, now this is a pool that could be built.
And I mean, there's already a shirtless dude in this video, but he's not nude.
So I was going to pretend this was one of the covers.
Right.
But it's not. But it is a 16-minute video of a boy from the channel Primitive Technology Idea. And he only uses rudimentary tools and materials. And he builds a very impressive, cave pool thing.
It's sick.
With rocks.
This video does have 4.1 million views.
There's a fire pit at the bottom. You literally light this pool on fire, and then the top it is heated.
Wow. So, I mean, I don't even think Mark's hypothetical pool is heated. Like, there's no indication of the temperature.
Then the naked dudes are going to get shrinkage, and then he's not going to get full schlong.
That's true. That's true. No one wants to see, like, a tiny, shriveled...
well, some people might. Sam.
That's sorry. Yeah, that's right. I don't want to judge anyone's preferences. Perhaps you're a fan of the shrinkers, the shrinky
There was
dinkies.
a few other pool building videos I was going to play, but I just feel like you've won this round. There's no, there's no bait and switch for me to be able to.
Wow. Okay. So anyway, but this is a great video of how to build a pool with rocks. So
have you ever noticed how when you watch TV in a hotel room, you find the greatest shitty TV shows that you never see again?
Yes, 100. Yes, absolutely.
Like, how does that happen? It's crazy.
There's got to be a word for that effect, right?
Yeah, like a German word, like.
Yeah, like
Channel Freude.
Channel Freude is great. Yeah, like there's, and I don't like. I was at my parents' house for a couple of days over the holidays, and was like, "Oh, I'm going to watch cable." And there was no. It doesn't happen outside of a hotel room.
I have cable, and I never find these crazy shows.
Yeah,
but even like when we were in England, or maybe when we were in Scotland, somewhere in the UK, we were watching TV, and they had a TV show where they just show YouTube videos on TV. It's like incredible.
Sick.
It's like the greatest fucking thing I've ever seen. But anyways, I forget where we were, maybe in America somewhere once on vacation, and in our hotel room there was a TV show called Cool Pools. And it was just like different cool pools, and it was my favorite thing ever.
Cool pools. How cool were the pools?
Okay, there's this one like super rich dude who lived in, I think, New York City, so he didn't have enough space for a pool. But then in his basement, he had built like a ballroom. And then when he's not entertaining guests, or maybe when he is, he'll just tell them, "Hey, can you leave the ballroom for a second?" And then the ballroom floods and turns into a cool pool.
That's a cool pool.
Yeah, it's a fucking cool ass pool.
I'm pretty sure right around the corner from us is a home that is owned by famous Canadian actor and director, Paul Gross. And we're pretty sure that Paul Gross has a pool on the second floor of his house because there's like a tremendous amount of reflection that you see when you walk by at night. Like the whole ceiling of the second floor looks like the entire second floor of Paul Gross's house is a pool. So I think it's also entirely possible that Due South's Paul Gross has a cool pool on the second floor of his home, which is a unique place for a pool.
An indoor pool is also very impressive.
Yeah.
Compared to, I just can't believe, I still can't get over the fact that your first thought of building a pool was that it would be above ground. It's just really freaking me out. I thought you were way richer than that.
Right, no. Letting my hillbilly roots show, right?
Just like fucking the hose and a bucket. You're like, oh, I built a pool.
Yeah, exactly. I'm very simple. I went to Walmart, I bought the Mr. Turtle, I'm set. And it's a pool. It's been built. Now get naked. So I'm glad that I've spared myself multiple pool building videos.
You have, but also I'm glad because there are a lot of covers and we're going to watch them all.
Okay,
and
sick.
We're going to have one hell of a time and it's going to take forever. But before we get to that, there are two people who have taken this song and rounded it out and turned it into a full-length song because they thought... And I think that's like really stupid and bad. No offense to them. Well, offense intended for one of them because one of them sucks. But it's like for example, Bohemian Rhapsody is a stupid song that has lots of goodness in it musically where you would want to hear more of it. If the whole album sounded like that song, it'd be sick. Now,
totally.
Built This Pool sounds okay as a fake Green Day song, but it also is kind of... There's nothing to it at all. There's nothing to it. And Blink has never had a song that sounds like this. So I just feel like it's all around. It's a bizarre thing to hear this and be like, wow, I wanted to hear more of that.
Yeah, I wish I could extract... Because honestly, if you want to hear more of it, put on Dookie and listen to Chump.
Although I did just remember another point that I forgot to make earlier. We were talking about the lyrics.
Crazy, man.
Am I allowed?
Yeah.
I know
like
you're
shy, but I want you to be able to express yourself on this podcast.
I am shy. Even I think it's weird. I'm shy sometimes. It's really weird.
Sweet shy Josiah.
I also thought this was going to be a really long one, but we're only at the hour mark right now. I mean, we got to really slow down if we want to hit that 3.
Right. Well, we should. If you're listening to this podcast, then maybe put this on halftime, and I'm sure it'll be exactly what Josiah envisioned for it.
Exactly. No, what I was going to say was...
Is your goal 3 hours for this episode?
I think we're going to hit it. We might. No, probably not. We probably won't.
How long's the guest spot?
It's a solid 45.
Okay, cool. So you and I just need to talk for another hour and 15 minutes?
Yeah. Also, the guest already tweeted about being on it, so I think it's not even
the surprise. Well, listen, Josiah. I mean, look, I don't have a specific time crunch, but I had a firecracker, and at some point, it's going to be Aquaman time in my brain, and so I think it's just important for you and the nation to know. That,
what do any of these things mean? I don't speak your street smarts lingo.
Right. I mean, a firecracker is like a really efficient but rudimentary way of crafting a cannabis edible in your own home.
Ooh.
And Aquaman time is when the edible kicks in and I go see the movie Aquaman.
Oh my God! Yeah, because you need to see it because it's part of the Justice League. Right?
That's the thing is I got to see all of my friends in the JL.
Well, okay. The only point I'm trying to make right now is that I do like that instead of a whoa or a na na na, they've actually done an interesting new thing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And it's very 1999 sounding. I feel like if this was in a Third Eye Blind song, it would be normal. But I love just going wee you. It's like he sounds like a toddler doing an ambulance impression.
It is definitely the one sort of charming and unique aspect of this song for sure. Because it varies. It could have been like whoa, oh, and Wii U is a hilarious combination of sounds. It's so good.
More of that would be good.
Yeah. It feels
anyways,
like what goes in the chorus of That Thing You Do, which is probably just because of the do part. But there's this very innocent 50s. It's what the backup singers in a 50s girl group would be doing in some Phil Spector recording.
Actually, yeah, or Weezer referencing that it could be.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so I know you gotta get your doobies and then go to the movies.
No, I didn't. It's a good rhyme. I'm not like actually in a hurry. I was just
No, are you
I can
gonna do
just
that thing where you're like, oh, the edibles aren't working, and then take more?
yeah, for sure. I also another sort of quick aside for Christmas, one of the things that I gave my darling mother was a pin of myself, which is, I think, truly the most selfless gift that a son can give a mother. But I realized that, like, for such a long time, my parents have, like, really not cared or sort of been aware of the pod as like a thing that I do, despite their general sort of enthusiasm for like knowing what's up with the band or knowing what's up with like This Exists, the YouTube channel, or but the pod was just like too weird for them. But I think like finally they've realized like there's been enough like funny anecdotes about it, and then it was like, oh, here's this pin, and so now I'm like really concerned. Like they were asking about where you can listen to podcasts and stuff a lot over Christmas, and so I'm like. Really
They're gonna find out that you
the,
blasted Frosted Flakes all over their living room.
Exactly. So, like, I apologize for getting Frosty in your home. No, please stop listening to the podcast.
Speaking of the pins, there's a few left. So if you want them,
They are sick
email.
pins. I finally got mine, and just to big up the pins. Great job, Josiah. They're nice.
Thank you. I did poke them through the card, but they were designed by my sister-in-law, Shauna May Hartsook. So congrats to her.
Credit to her. So you've made your point about the Wii U's. Is there any more Wii U stuff, or do we want to get into these like full versions?
Are you okay over there? It sounds like a siren just blared in the background. I heard a Wii U sound over there at your house.
Yeah, that's it. That's good, man. So a few users have tried to turn this into a complete song, you say? I wonder what that sounds like.
I just had the feeling of what it would be like if you found the videos and introduced them.
Well, we used to do that. Like, remember?
We used to.
Yeah.
Someone should just shoot me in the face while I'm talking one day. Sometimes I do a tweet that's so bad that I think someone's going to kill me in the street.
Or what if it's not a random person? What if it's literally Sarah because of your Twin Peaks joke?
I wouldn't be surprised. That was a new low.
She's just like putting shards of glass in all your meals.
I also like changed tense halfway through that Twin Peaks one, and I didn't even care because I was just like, I know this is awful, but I just need to get it out.
Yeah, it was. I'll be honest. I saw it. I think I was like looking at Twitter, kind of going to bed. It was like 3 a.m. I was like, that's a good tweet. I don't think I faved it though because I kind of felt the same. Where I was
you
like,
never fave
I don't
my
want to
tweets.
encourage. I'm sure I faved your tweets, Josiah.
You fave very few.
I fave tweets about the pod because I want people to know that I like it.
You know what
when
else
they talk
happened
about
was
the pod.
I joined one of those Facebook groups. You know how I'm like in all kinds of terrible Facebook groups?
Yeah, mommy groups and yeah.
Yeah. I joined one because the name was so interesting and strange. It's called like concerned about the future, what's my life, or like I don't know. It's like it seems like a cry. Is this it? Seems like a cry for help almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called My Happy and Emotionally Thoughts, Struggling and Supportive Place. It's like, I was like, I got to see what kind of shit's going on here. So I joined it. I immediately got a DM from them, like personalized, like, thank you for joining. We hope you have a great time in here and let us know if you ever need to talk about it. It's like too real. I think I'm going to have to leave it.
Yeah.
But I thought it was so funny that they DM'd me that I posted a screenshot of it. And a very sweet person from the nation, who I will not name just in case she doesn't want to be named, but she saw that I was in this group called like Emotionally Support or whatever, and reached out and was like, "Are you okay?
Aww.
Is everything okay?" I was like, "That's so nice," but also like, I'm starting to realize how much explaining is required to understand what I'm doing, and I don't even know what I'm doing.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And that like that explanation would require a degree of sort of self-awareness that
what I'm saying is I deserve someone to drive over me with a bus.
So maybe this person was right to reach out to you and make sure if you're okay. So I'm pretty sure so far we've been talking for an hour about the song Built This Pool by Blink-182, and you have said that you would love to find a wall in your condo that you could crawl into and then never leave. You would hope that one day someone would just shoot you in the face while you were talking, and then whatever the hell it was you just said
On
about
Christmas
hoping you
Day,
get hit by a truck.
On Christmas Day, I tweeted the movie Bird Box is about KFC's $5 fill-up meal. because it comes in a box, and I Googled what the box was named on Christmas Day to do this tweet. Like, I don't think I deserve my life.
Right. So if someone could please, help Josiah with his ultimate wish, which is to have his life ended.
I just think I should be put in a hot air balloon and let it go. And just get me away from my phone.
But then who would show me videos of people building pools with rocks, man?
It's true.
I would be unmoored. Just lost at sea.
You know who else built a pool with rock? Mark Hoppus.
Okay. So here's someone who's built an even bigger pool than Mark Hoppus. YouTube user
Thank you.
Francis
Seven. He seems Australian just based on his beard and look. I don't know. Maybe he's not.
Well, let's find out.
Doesn't he seem Australian a bit?
I don't know. Do Australians have these? He looks like just sort of like Southern fest punky. You know, he's bald and he's got the beard. I'll try to figure it out. So he's from Canada, I think. I've looked up looked up his channel on Social Blade, and he's a fellow Canuck. So he also recently finished celebrating Boxing Day, and loves homogenized milk, which apparently is a trend sweeping the nation.
Right.
That was, and he mostly just played it longer, and then.
Yeah, he took out the guitar. But the thing that frustrates me is, like, first of all, I think it's dumb to combine different Blink-182 lyrics. It's kind of annoying to me when people do that. But also, like, you got all this energy and you're setting everything up. Why don't you just, like, change a couple notes and just write a pop-punk song? Like, his voice sounds pretty good and kind of rough around the edges.
The verses I actually thought were, like, because even though he's doing all the small things and damn it, like, that wasn't really the exact melody. And so, if he took what he was already doing there in the verses and just, like, wrote, like a sort of knockoff pop-punk song, I think it actually would have been quite sick.
But then again, I guess the real issue then comes back to the time we live in where, like, if he wrote a pretty cool pop-punk song that wasn't, like, anchored on some kind of stupid joke, then no one would click on it.
We never would have listened to it. And this instead has, like, almost 6,000 views, So
I guess this is the world that we deserve.
Yeah, we have failed him.
But I don't know, like, it's just sad when people have all this energy and then they use it on something like that.
Yeah, and I mean, we've definitely, I will say, like, it's also sort of through this pod, like, had people sort of share stuff with us that is very much like change one chord. It's basically a Blink song, but it's like a newish band, and we've like played them and been very stoked on them. Ultimately, you're probably going to get more views by doing the like novelty thing. I get it. That's like how our attention works, but you're right. Like that's a lot of effort to make a 3-minute built this pool joke.
So here's one with not very much effort, and I'm gonna be honest, I haven't previewed the whole thing because I just found this like right before we recorded, but it does seem way more gay panicky. Okay. And it gives me these people give me a bit of a Leo Dio vibe because they're European.
Right. Yeah.
So,
okay.
I don't know. It just seems like they're kind of going for the edgy joke. It might totally suck. I don't know. They're called Lighters. That's their username as well. And they've made it into a quote full version, and the caption says, "We were drunk." And they didn't post the lyrics, so I would have previewed them if I could read them, but I don't know. Well, let's just hear it. If it gets too awful, we'll turn it off.
And an important sort of aesthetic note is that they both have plastic bags over their heads.
Yeah, which again is like it's kind of dumb. Like if you're gonna be a shithead, put your face on there.
Yeah,
don't hide.
No, I know, and also don't hide in a way that could kill you.
Well, maybe they should actually hide in that way a little bit more. Here's this cover.
I was raised to be straight, but I don't like to be gay, and I don't really care. I just wanna fuck a guy. I wanna see some naked dudes. That's why I built this pool. I wanna see some naked dudes. That's why I built this pool. I saw a naked girl. I didn't got a hat on. I saw a naked guy. That's what turns me on. I wanna see some naked dudes. I wanna build this pool. Wow. I wanna see some naked dudes. That's why I built this pool.
That's terrible.
So they're just like, I saw a girl, she didn't give me a hard on.
Yeah, it's insanely fucking European. The thing I love about this shit though is like these dudes also like here's the first video on their channel, which is this like looks like an incredibly sincere prom night in Europe cover of like I haven't listened to it, but it's definitely gonna be Time of Your Life, right? It just says Green Day cover.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Nope, you're
no. And like just like they're both literally dressed for prom. This looks like it's happening in like some sort of incredibly Soviet city center. Like at one point the camera pans around and
it is a .ru
yeah, like
URL. So I guess I was wrong, assuming they were German, but
no, they're extreme. Yeah, this looks pretty Russian. So you can literally like see the Stasi like sort of forcing everyone to watch this cover of "Wake Me Up When September Ends." But
which is, I mean, I do like that because it's Green Day season. That's important.
It is, yeah,
play.
important to recognize and celebrate Green Day season in your own way. But yeah, that sucked. But it's like that lazy, like I mean, it's just it's lazy. It's not funny.
And that to me is like. That's to me proof of whether or not the gay panic was intended in the original song. It's definitely there if people are like able to read into it so much that they build a whole song
Absolutely.
around how it's funny to be gay.
And I think this speaks to a conversation that we had a little bit behind the paywall for our holiday for the Christmas No Posers special, where we talked a little bit about the F word in Fairy Tale of New York. And
yeah, you love that word in there.
Yeah, I was like, it's sick. It should be in there more, and in other songs also. It should be in every Christmas song, especially. But this idea that
you kept talking about freedom of speech and how you should be allowed to say the N-word. Also,
well, I was citing, friend of the pod Jordan Peterson extensively, and that conscripted speech is fascism or something. I don't know. So. I think this idea, not that I think that so Built This Pool isn't like a character study song, but this idea this point that you kind of made where, people will say about Fairy Tale of New York, like it's a song about two people. It's not Shane McGowan singing from the heart. It's like very much a narrative song and yada, yada, yada. And your point was like, sure, but also like it's a song, like people sing along to it. Like people don't watch movies and sing along to them in bars. So there's like the context is different and worth considering. And so it's a stretch, but I think the point I'm trying to make here is like, okay, I definitely was like, I don't think this song is like a gay joke, but if everyone else's interpretation of the song is that it's a gay joke and to make more increasingly offensive gay jokes around it, then yeah, that's a sign maybe.
Yeah, it's something. But I want to move on to a different moral quandary. We can edit this out after if we want, but here's the question.
Okay.
I'm going to get real quiet here.
Yeah, okay.
I said a few months ago
Yeah.
that I was never going to play Darius again.
Oh.
And
Oh, no.
I feel like I want to go back on that promise.
Okay, yeah. I think promises are made to be broken. And so I think that you should do it.
Okay.
Okay.
Look, here's an idea. Let's pretend we've never heard of him before.
Okay. That's great. Yes.
There's no baggage.
Yep, totally. So, Josiah, do you have something else to play before we get to covers?
There are actually a surprise. So these songs, I mean, that last song could borderline be called a parody, but then I found someone who's actually done not one but two parodies of the song.
This song? So, are there people that do Blink-182 parodies? Is that like a thing?
Apparently it is.
Wow, okay.
But these are two different users also. So that makes it a little strange because not only are these two different covers uploaded by two different users, but they're both taking the song and recontextualizing the song so that it's about the influencer Cameron Dallas, famously of the Netflix series Chasing Cameron.
Okay. Wow, that's interesting that you'd have two versions that both address the same issue.
So one of them was uploaded 2 years ago by a fella who goes by the name Darius Burke.
Okay.
Unaware of who that is, but
That name rings no bells.
me neither. But anyways, this one's called Blink-182 built this pool parody, and then in parentheses it says that's why you're famous, but your is the wrong your.
Okay.
So here's this one by Darius Burke.
I'm Cameron Dallas. I'm so annoying. That's why I'm famous. Is that really it? Yup, you suck, Cameron Dallas.
Wow. Really sticking it to influencer Cameron Dallas. That's the sort of cutting takedown of influencer culture that we've been waiting for.
I know. But then the other, so you'd think that one was uploaded 2 years ago, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The other account, I don't know if it's the same guy or not, but this account's called I Like Funny Things on SoundCloud.
Yeah.
And this one was only uploaded 9 days ago.
Whoa, wow, a recent, okay. And it's also about Cameron Dallas.
So you might, here's what I thought initially.
Yeah.
I thought perhaps this Darius Burke fella, he has other stuff going on in his life that he doesn't want to be associated with these parodies. Because despite how hilarious they are, some people might find them too juvenile.
Right, that's fair. Yeah, and you're applying for jobs. Maybe you have other creative pursuits. You're making films, and you don't want people Googling your name.
I mean, we don't know that about this Darius.
No, I'm just talking about like different things people do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I thought maybe he didn't want to be associated with this anymore, so he re-uploaded his old Cameron Dallas parody onto a new page.
That would make sense.
But instead, this is an entirely different Cameron Dallas parody. So,
wow. Okay.
You can see why I needed to play this.
I can. Yes, absolutely.
So this one is quite a bit spicier. Let's hear it.
Oh, okay.
Woo, woo. Cameron Dallas is a pedophile. That's why I got a restraining order. Is that really it?
Wow. Okay. Now, interesting. I feel like the voices are similar. The second one lacks the energetic punch of the first,
but I like the second one because it's straight up libelous.
Right. Maybe that's why. If it's the same person, perhaps they had to register a new account because, what are you going to do? Send a libel notice to what's it called again?
I Like Funny Things.
I Like Funny Things. Is that also a joke in and of itself? Because calling your account I Like Funny Things and then posting things that aren't funny is like, a humorous juxtaposition of two ideas.
Let's be honest. Darius Burke is the greatest working artist of our time.
Look at it.
And he can't be ignored. It's like trying to ignore Trump. And I know that he doesn't like Trump, but it's like Trump is, for all of his flaws, impossible to ignore.
Absolutely.
He's the loudest person in the room.
Yeah. And Darius Burke is also similarly quite loud, despite the fact that we know that his neighbors are perhaps even worse.
I love Darius Burke. I've decided to turn over a new leaf and stop ignoring him, but instead just continue to love him unconditionally.
Well, I'm sure he really appreciates that, Josiah.
All right, are you ready for covers?
Okay. I got a San Pellegrino. I'm ready to go.
All right, there's a lot, so hopefully your edible doesn't kick in while you're...
I hope it does, baby.
All right, well, kind of also a parody a little bit. Mm-hmm. But this is... My God. This is What If Tom DeLonge did it.
Hell yeah.
And this person has made a great graphic to go with it, where there's tons of Tom DeLonge's naked in a pool.
Oh, sick.
However, there's also men kissing each other and embracing each other in the pool, so I think it sort of adds to my point from earlier.
Well, I think there's a dude literally, I mean, they're embracing the sense of like getting their dick sucked.
Yeah. So that is what it is.
Okay.
But anyways, here's Tom singing it.
I felt like Tom was there.
Not only is it a good impression, but there's something that's very difficult to replicate about how badly Tom emphasizes certain parts of the words or pronounces them at the wrong times. So I like that too.
Yeah.
So now moving along, I think we might breeze through these because it's a pretty short song. I don't know if you noticed that.
I did. You know what though? Again, so just you mentioned that song and like the oh my God, image, whatever the image joke is. It's a certain way, and then like the description is like hashtag full homo. So yeah, all sides point to not great.
Yeah. Right. And this next version I think is similar because somebody named Chase, who is using pictures of football players for their online presence, which immediately to me suggests probably not a great person. I'm opening up about my own biases.
I don't think it's a good sign. No,
I think if your profile pic is like a football player or like a sports player or you holding up a fish, you're probably not my kind of person.
Yeah, that's
and if your name is Chase, also, I'm just going to go ahead and write you off right now.
Now, I would say this: what if Chase actually is a football player for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
I mean, probably still not my favorite, but
okay, that's fine.
Okay.
I mean, saying you don't like athletes is maybe too sweeping because I feel like they're. I mean, you're friends with an Olympian.
That's true.
So I don't know if you want to drag all athletes into this, but that's fine. If your biases also encompass.
No, it doesn't. You're right. I think because actually, I bet you this guy, whoever this guy is, he's probably cool. He has cool tattoos and stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
But I don't know. this Chase
but
guy.
I don't know if
sure.
he's Chase. Yeah. I'll while this is playing, I'll see if there are any Chases currently playing for the Steelers.
But the point of this one is Chase has recorded a version of it specifically for his friend James. I think he might be using this song as a method of saying that his friend is gay.
Oh, right. Okay. Or maybe he's like.
Or maybe he's being sincere.
Yeah,
Yeah. If we want to be very glass half full.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this is him reaching out to James.
Half full.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
James wants to see some naked dudes. That's why I built this pool.
There's nothing I love better than a little kid making the mic way too loud and singing at the exact wrong part of maybe the easiest song ever to sing.
Yeah, totally. Great. Yeah. I don't think that person plays for the Steelers. They don't have the confidence of a professional football player.
Then again, like we're talking about context, something about that kid calling his friend gay, maybe it's because I'm a straight person who doesn't have to deal with the baggage of it, but then it becomes funny again because it's like he's just clearly just some kid that calls you slurs while you're playing Call of Duty on online gaming.
Right.
Like he's just like, he's that kid. Like this Chase kid is every kid.
Right. I think it's your lack of baggage, speaking there. Like, oh, the slurs are funny as long as they come from children who are playing video games. Like, I'm not. Given that you're the one that brought all this, this woke
One of us
tone
has
into
to.
the conversation.
You were waiting for someone to tell you online that you had to think that way, but I was
I
here for you to tell you.
I need the internet to tell me how to feel, man.
Well, something else that is definitely sketchy is when people are German. This guy Mark Eichner sings it in German. So he sings it in acoustic.
I bet it's all
he sings it
fucked
in
up then.
English first and then German. So I'm gonna put you through both in a row.
I wanna see some naked dudes. This love and this cool. And in German. Ich möchte ein paar nackte Kerle sehen. Deswegen hab ich diesen Pool gebaut.
Yeah, there's no way the German wasn't like all wrong, man.
Really? You think he sang it wrong?
No, well, I
Do you
just
sprechen Sie Deutsch?
yeah, I just more mean that it was. There's no way he like did the English thing and then made it seem like as a way of making non-German speaking listeners such as us think that he was singing the same thing in German. But I'm sure the German one was like I went more like bad, like offensive.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
There's a lot more words in there. It was very harsh sounding.
it's. I mean, that's their whole vibe, man. But for some reason, we just moved right on. We were like, Germans are fine now. So, cool, I guess.
Uncanceled. Okay.
Yeah. Wow, that didn't that. That's like,
It's like
Germans
Germans are like fucking Louis C.K.
Exactly,
or Aziz,
yeah.
Just like doing a fucking apology tour all of a sudden.
No, that's it. Or like barely apologizing, just like they're just back,
Yeah,
like
not
nothing
even.
changed. Yeah.
Like, well, we had our time.
Yeah.
We thought about what we did.
They wrote like one good tweet or something that was like, I'm going to go away and think about it. And 5 years later, it was like, cool,
Like,
we're
oh,
all buying
Germans are okay
Volkswagens
now.
again or something. Like, that's fucked up.
Well, as we're going to learn later, a lot of well-known artists have covered this song because people do love a good novelty.
Yeah.
And sort of the artist we're going to talk about later is kind of someone that you could apply the term emo to, or even just like punk within the punk realm, underground music.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not alone in that because another underground punk / emo group, 5 Seconds of Summer,
Oh, yeah.
also covered it. So
It's a big like Planet X band, right?
yeah, exactly. No, this is actually just the guy Ashton from it, and he's not the cute one. I feel like you don't really know much about 5 Seconds
I was
of
gonna
Summer.
ask, do you know the names of the five
I
sauces?
can't remember the cute boy's name. I think it's Michael.
Aren't they all
Yeah,
cute? Is there like
No, like Michael Clifford is clearly the one. Like he's the one. The other
Okay.
ones are like generic cute, but then like
his name is
Michael
Clifford?
No, his name is Michael Clifford. Like he's clearly like the alternative one. He's the one who. He's just the one. He's the wild card.
He is the one. Yeah, I mean, look, I love him.
The other guys all look like kind of like generic surf instructors, but then he's the one guy where you're like, okay, this guy definitely like.
He looks older than I thought. How old is this man?
I don't know. I don't think he's that old.
Michael Clifford, born 1952. That's a different Michael Clifford, I guess.
He also, I think I've talked about this before because it's my favorite thing in the world, but the actor Abigail Breslin from Little Miss Sunshine, she dated him and he broke up with her, and then she like wrote this diss breakup song called "You Suck," and it's really good. And then there's like videos of Five Sauce watching the "You Suck" video. It's so good. But anyways,
Dude, I don't know. I'm looking at pictures of Five Sauce right now, and like a lot of these dudes are very handsome.
no, they are. They are. But like they're like too handsome or like normie handsome. But
okay,
Michael
get it.
Clifford's the one where you're like, okay, yeah, this guy's alternative. He knows what's up.
Why does this? Why does the guy? One of the guys in the band, if you just open the photo that I sent you, looks like what's his name from all the Mumblecore movies? The guy who made Creep.
Which guy do you think
The guy
looks
on the
like
far
Mark
left.
Duplass?
He looks. He's like another Duplass. Like there's fully
I
a
can kinda
Duplass
see-
in 5 Seconds of Summer.
I can kind of see that.
Yeah.
I don't remember the leather jacket guy. Also, Five Sauce is no longer a pop punk band. Their new song is like not a pop punk song, Young Blood, but it's so fucking sick. I
Cool.
hated it at first, but it's incredible. Anyways, who covered it is I believe the second guy in with the glasses. I think that's Ashton. Oh no, maybe Ashton's the leather jacket guy. This is a weird photo.
Okay, so someone in 5 Seconds of Summer. It doesn't really matter to me, the specifics.
One of the three normies, not the cool guy, is all I'm trying to say.
Okay.
But here's Ashton.
I wanna see some naked dudes. That's why I built this pool. Click the subscribe button right there. Yep.
They're also Australian, I forgot to mention.
5 Seconds of Summer is Australian?
Yeah.
Wow,
They're a true enigma.
That's bizarre.
They're also owned by One Direction as like a LLC. I think I've talked about that before.
Wait, is that actually true?
Yeah.
No.
Like, I think there's some sort of... You would probably understand better than me because you know how to crunch the numbers and have a huddle to determine what it means. But, yeah, there's some sort of thing that, like, One Direction owns them.
Sick. So I love the idea of doing just acapella and be like, smash that subscribe button. Like, what? Great. I love it.
That might have been a fan site asking to subscribe. I don't know. I don't really know. But the song does lend itself well to, like, kind of, like... DIY-ass pop-punk bands. This band is called Take Back, and they're from Washington. And
do you think that's a Green Day reference?
Ooh,
Take Back,
maybe.
Because that's a Green Day song.
I mean, this band seems like they know what's up. They're not wearing any like gross defend pop-punk stuff. They just kind of look like dumpy pop-punk guys.
Because they're named
cool
after a
pop-punk guys.
Nimrod era Green Day song.
Could be. I mean, I hope so. And also, Nimrod is so good. I love Green Day season. Okay, here we go. I mean, that's cute, right?
Yeah, like, and it looks like they're playing like some shitty basement or whatever. Like that vibe. If that was how I heard this song, I'd be like, sick, perfect.
Yeah, exactly. And similarly, this band, which I believe is called When Whales Collide, because independent hardcore and emo music is at completely the self-parody phase of band names.
Yeah.
It's like, this is like When Whales Collide is like if there was an emo band in a teen movie and they were called that, and I'd be like, no.
Yeah, it's too much, man.
Someone needs to punch up the script. But they started their set with it, which again I think is kind of, for like a serious band, again it's about that high-low divide, and we're going to get to that later, but to start your set with this is kind of cool. And also, this video is at 155 views.
Oh, sick.
And then, like, their actual music sounds like this later on. It doesn't want to scrub ahead. When Whales Collide.
Yeah, that's definitely the only way that a band with that name can sound.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know. I mean, in that context, again, it's kind of like I can see the value.
I'm not. Yeah, totally. I'm becoming charmed again by this song, which I'm concerned about.
It's because you're homophobic.
That's it. My homophobia is really it's showing.
It's flaring up.
Yeah.
Your epidermis is showing.
It's a classic.
I'm trying to just figure out the best next step here because there's quite a few ways to go about this. There's so many fucking covers. Everyone thinks this song is so fun to cover, and maybe it is.
Well, I mean,
Maybe
I
we're
guess
the ones who are wrong.
We haven't tried it, so we don't know.
Are you talking about being gay? Are you doing a gay joke? Or?
Yeah, exactly. It was a gay joke. It was not a Built This Pool cover joke. Not even a joke. That's fine.
Here's another emo guy. This is Pedro Waddington De Freitas. And he's just written, I want to see some naked dudes, that's why I built this pool. And also, I always thought that the word just was in this song at the start. I thought it was like, just want to see some naked dudes.
No, I don't think that's the lyrics, man.
I just kind of changed that in my brain.
Right.
I don't know why.
I like the idea that you made it more like, I just need this one thing. It makes it sort of more desperate.
Yeah.
It's all I need.
Because I feel like the word just makes it a little bit funnier. I don't know why. This is what this guy looks like. He looks pretty, like, serious. He has plugs.
Oh,
His
yeah.
ears.
It's a serious man.
Whoa, whoa. I wanna see some naked dudes. That's why I built this pool.
5,000 views. Like, maybe you should try doing a cover where you say, just want to see some naked dudes, and then, like, you know, see if it's funny.
what happens.
See if it's any funny.
Maybe it would be.
Yeah.
It is getting charming. It's kind of stressful.
I know.
This one really charmed me. Also because so this band is called Rescue Dogs. Hang on. This might be a different. Yeah, no. They had said, I think they posted this on Reddit and said it ends with a gag, and there's a tiny visual gag at the end that's really funny. But mostly, I'm just charmed by it. So listen to this one. Great intro on my part.
Well, I wanna see some naked dudes. That's why I built this pool. Is that really it?
That sound was them slapping Matt
funny.
Skiba's face onto Tom DeLonge's face at the end on a poster behind them. Also a prominent Green Day poster behind the drummer. But I think what charmed me about this was just like sort of a little kid-ish voice singing it.
Yeah,
It was really
totally.
cute. And the bass, like having just bass and drums. Again, yeah, these
kids
so many
just don't
things-
look like dicks. Like, I feel like some of the other ones, the ones that have been charming are mostly being performed by people who you look at them and you're like, I don't think you're an asshole. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I look at these kids and I'm like,
totally.
these kids are just having so much fun in the house with their, like, you talk about like dorm room ass posters. Like, there's a Foo Fighters poster, there's a Kurt Cobain poster, there's a
Muse.
Yeah, Muse, Blink, a pretty new Green Day poster. Like, the whole thing is very much like, it's our first practice space. Like, you know, we finally were allowed to decorate the basement however we wanted, and they went to, like, Poster World, and this is what they were able to get.
It's cute.
And then slapping up the Skiba thing is funny. Like, yeah, I like these kids.
This one I think is straight up in a dorm. I mean, even they've called their band name Biological Stepfathers. This is very, I don't know. This is just like, but I don't know if these kids seem like dicks or not. I can't remember. So let's check out Biological Stepfathers.
I gotta make this fucking work. Oh my god. Tony, are you even recording?
There's like a guy carrying boxes out of the dorm.
Yeah, that's a weird one. I mean, look,
And a lot of super zoom.
college was fun. I get it.
I don't like videos where I don't like watching people rock out to a song by like bopping their head forwards and backwards aggressively. It makes me very uncomfortable.
How would you
for some
prefer
reason.
that someone rock out?
I don't know.
I didn't
maybe
realize that
don't.
you were allowed to have an opinion about how someone should enjoy music.
You know when
Because
people complain about like, oh, the people are always like, I hate Vancouver, I hate Toronto. People just stand around and watch the bands, but like that's way better than when people are fucking dancing and shit. Like, ugh, I'm not into that. I love standing around. It rules.
Yeah, but you can't be mad at people for enjoying themselves, and that's where I feel you're going with this.
I just don't like I'm saying the selfie camera view, someone singing into the camera while bobbing their head aggressively.
Okay, that's a more specific complaint. Fine, yes.
But also like people like whenever you complain that you played a show in a city and everyone was just standing around, you're complaining that someone was like paying full attention to you. That's dumb.
Yeah, that's fair.
There's an actual naked dude who did it, but it's kind of like stupid. Like he pretended to play guitar by his pool and covered his dick while he was naked. So that we can just pretend.
I feel like I've seen it.
That one.
Yeah, okay.
Don't need that one. This one I think is also Australian. Yeah, Melbourne. The band's called The Orphan. Built this pool. Probably everyone who listens to the podcast is friends with this band. I'm guessing. 'Cause every time we make fun of Australian shit, people are like, "Oh, I was in that band."
Yeah, exactly. There are
great.
like 2 Australian punks, and they're both like very involved in the podcast.
But anyways, I still think I might not like this one, and you'll hear why. They did the Travis Barker part via gang vocals.
I mean, it looks like they're kind of like a hardcore band, so it seems less of a like fest thing than more of a kind of hardcore joke.
Yeah, but doing Blink-182 songs hardcore style is not... I don't think that's okay.
No, but it's not like they did the whole song hardcore style. They just let a little bit of their personality shine through. Look, I'm just convinced that we know someone in this band now, and I'm just...
I think if you're in a youth crew band, you have to... Even if you think it's a joke, you can't admit that it's funny. That ruins everything.
Right,
You have
okay,
to
I get that.
Keep up the pretense that somehow doing gang vocals with a bunch of guys wearing the exact same Terror merch as you is not funny.
Okay.
I also don't... I think
Right.
you're being too generous. I don't think they were a hardcore band. I don't know. I'm just... The gang vocals I wasn't into.
Okay.
Not into it.
Okay.
This one, I think I was charmed perhaps by the twee-ass artwork. This is by Hill Blocks View Band on SoundCloud. There's like a boy under a quilt. And it says under the covers.
Yeah, sick.
But like, look at... That's like such a grandma's basement pillow and quilt too.
Well, I mean, this
So
person
good.
looks like they probably like have to live with their family because they're 13.
Right. I'm just saying it's adorable. I'm not roasting the quilt.
It sounded like you were about to roast this quilt.
I love the quilt.
Roast This Quilt is going to be on the next Blink-182 album.
That'll be exclusive that we do where we just roast quilts.
Yeah, exactly. Getting real behind the paywall about all these quilts. Great.
Okay. I wasn't going to bring this up, but there's someone who will not shut up about how the audio quality of our podcast is not like NPR quality.
Is that one person? Because it's like multiple accounts doing it.
I keep muting the accounts because I find it so irritating, and then he keeps using different accounts to do the same thing. But the charm of lo-fi-ness really covers a multitude of like sins, and that's why the tier of podcasting that we're a part of, where it like doesn't sound that great, people are more okay with how it's like not produced and not thought about and kind of shitty most of the time, or just like, it's like rough around the edges. Similarly, this cover that sounds like he recorded it with blankets over the amps in his grandma's basement is infinitely better than the professional slick quality version of the song.
Yeah, completely. So
like letting it sound shitty gives it this charm that it needs.
Well, yeah, I mean that's it. The full Feldy version is just like unnecessary. Where you're like, why'd you put all this time into something so stupid? Which I guess like that's funny in and of itself. But it's like this is a tossed off kind of grandma's quilt sort of core version is perfect.
Yeah, it's way better. There's still like tons more.
Oh my
it's just
God.
Powering through. This one I mostly just love the name of the band.
Okay. Spicy Boys.
You can't argue with that.
No, I'm into it.
So here's Spicy Boys.
I wanna see some naked dudes. That's why I built this pool.
Is that really it?
I don't know. I don't know how it compares to my favorite Spicy Boys release, Rage Against the Kazoo, in which they seem to just play the kazoo over Rage Against the Machine songs. So,
Oh God, I really do like the Spicy Boys. Not gonna lie.
no, the Spicy Boys are my boys.
They rock. They're like at the lake in their picture. The Spicy Boys are cool.
Yeah.
Let's hear a little bit of Rage Against the Machine. the other thing I'm realizing is that, like, you were saying, you know, it is kind of funny that they put all this effort into such a stupid joke, but the other problem is that, like, as soon as you think you're making a stupid joke, there is something stupider out there.
Yeah, totally. Another reason to love the Spicy Boys is that they have a YouTube channel, which includes parodies of ghost shows like Ghost Fuckers. So I am like fully in the tank for the Spicy Boys.
Spicy Boys, BOIZ, to get into it.
Yeah.
Spicy Boys season. But along the lines of the kazoo, this one, I feel like maybe someone said that they were on this record or something too. I don't know. Who cares? But we have played this before and we hated it, and I think we're also going to hate this. This is Blink 182 Kalele from Indianapolis, Indiana.
Oh, great.
With their cover of Built This Pool.
I want to see some naked dudes. That's why I built this pool.
Yeah.
That was horrifying.
Oh my god. How many more? How many more are there?
I'm skipping at least one.
Oh, at least.
There's only two more actually.
Oh, okay.
We've made it.
Thank God.
So first off, and this one, do we need to tread carefully? No, but this one was made by someone within our orbit.
Okay.
If you look at the uploader,
Blink 182.
Yeah. Look, I don't want to start beef with these guys because I think we accidentally ripped off their idea.
Yeah.
And then completely usurped them, I would assume.
I mean, it's hard to say. I haven't checked the stats to see where we currently sit in the ranking of Internet Blink 182 podcasts. but these are like the OGs, right? Like these are the guys that we should have seen if we had spent 2 seconds looking up whether this was a good idea or not.
Yeah. So this is Take Off Your Pants and Podcast. And they've done a cover of Build This Pool. It sounds a little something like this.
Built this pool, that's why I built this pool, built this pool, that's why I built this pool, built this pool, that's why I built this pool, built this pool, that's why I built this pool, built this pool, that's why I built this pool. I wanna see some naked dudes. Built this pool, that's why I built this pool, built this pool, that's why I built this pool, built this pool, that's why I built this pool.
Do I host the other Blink 182 podcast?
I was going to ask. Some extremely Sam shit.
What the fuck?
So that was credited to Eric Smith. I don't know if he's on that pod or what. I can't remember. And I actually don't remember which pod is which in terms of Blink 182 podcasts.
No, but that was great. What an excellent a cappella cover of a song that I am now charmed by again.
Yeah, I didn't like it, but
well, yeah, that's your role.
I do like the song, and I think I like the song because we've sort of been hinting at the high-low divide.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna get into this a lot in a couple minutes here, but I always associated "The World Is a Beautiful Place" and "I'm No Longer Afraid to Die" with seriousness. Maybe it's because of their band name, or just because of like my understanding of their music, which I still haven't really dug into, even though I promised I would. I'm going to soon, but I just like in my head I have this picture of them being like a serious emo revival band. You know,
that's a serious emo revival band name. I mean, again, context clues. That's a severe group of people. You know?
Yeah, they're just like serious as hell.
Yeah.
With that in mind, like I think it's perfect that they covered this song.
Yeah, and I feel like they got a lot of attention for that because even by virtue of just having the band name that they have, saying like a band with this name covered a 15-second song, but a new, like it's not just like, oh, they covered Pathetic or something, which is like that would be more expected, but covering a new novelty Blink-182 song when your name points towards like taking yourself incredibly seriously is like juxtaposition. Like that's comedy, baby.
What it is like vintage online irony.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the best possible way. Before online irony meant that like the world was on fire. And I'm no longer afraid to die.
Yeah.
it's like, you know, it's classic. So let's listen to their cover and then we'll do our final thoughts and then we're gonna talk to the band about it.
Sick. Yeah, it's fucking great. Like that's so good.
The high gain on the mic
I
makes
know.
everything so intimate and
It is like, and that's great
amazing.
because it's such a like. There's like the bones of like a good song there, and instead like because really like very little of what's there is sort of in the original song. Like besides, I mean, obviously the melody, but then there's like all those new harmonies and stuff. So like you could have built something you could have built something of your own, and instead you built this pool. It's just such a like perfect straight face delivery of something so like what's already sort of a bad joke. Like it's great. Like everything about that is so charming and like that's how to do it.
it's perfect.
Yeah, totally.
It's what everyone else has been trying to do this whole time.
Yeah, absolutely. So Josiah, what are your final thoughts about around as you would direct towards the song "Built This Pool" by Blink-182?
I mean, I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, cool.
It's fine. I don't care about it. Like it's just not. To me, it's not funny enough or interesting enough to really warrant talking about it for 2 hours. And yet we just did.
And yeah, we did.
So,
But are you a little disappointed because this episode won't be 3 full hours?
yeah, I mean, maybe we can add some stuff at the end.
Should we just add 15 minutes of the 10-hour loop of the song so the episode lasts a full 3 hours?
Yeah, exactly. What are your final thoughts?
You know, the fucking same.
I want to see some naked dudes. That's why I built this pool.
We're here with Chris Teti of The World is a Beautiful Place, and I am no longer afraid to die. Welcome to Blink-155, Chris.
Thanks for having me. This is cool.
I feel like we've sort of been in each other's orbit for quite a while because I remember someone tweeting at us when we first started about that we should get your band on the pod.
That sounds about right. Like I actually found out about the podcast because of a band that I've been working with. Because I record bands for a living when I'm not on tour, and the band's called Maneva, and they're from Connecticut, and they mentioned the podcast to me. Yeah, I like checked it out and was into it. Like with that same band, I have like a group chat on our phones called Mostly Talking About Tom DeLonge. And I think we're all pro Tom DeLonge, and I've been converted. I was a Hoppus guy for many years.
Oh, really?
But yeah, I didn't know it was a heated thing. I was just like, oh, he's like the guy. He's like your like friend. He's like the guy who stands by you like for years. And I don't know. I think I've been changed.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. It's sort of a very surfacey. On the surface, he's definitely the fave at first, but then you sort of like elevate to this higher level of consciousness, I think.
Yeah. I got into quite a YouTube hole recently, just watching different videos where, like, say Tom DeLonge was on Mark's show that he had. Was it on Fuse?
Yeah, and that's something we literally haven't really touched that show yet. But I feel like there's so much content related to that show too. We're so fucked.
Yeah. He did an interview with Angels and Airwaves, and it was like he was like kind of dismissive. It felt of calm, and like he was like brought up like Tom's a weird conspiracies, but he like brought it up in front of everyone and was like, how weird is it when he mentions these things, everybody? Let's like shit on him for like 5 minutes. But yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess it would be, maybe if you've known Tom his whole life, it's easier to be dismissive of him. But the fact is, like, he's actually doing most of the things that he said he was going to do.
Yeah. I mean, he hasn't shown me an actual alien yet, but, you know, we'll see.
So do you run the social media for your band?
Yeah, I do a lot of the posts. Yeah, because I just get on like just like weird YouTube holes like between work and stuff like that, and it just turns into just like chaos.
Like, so
but, yeah,
I was telling you before we started, but I got to come clean. I've truly never listened to your band. I've heard of it for a long time, and for some reason I was always like very resistant towards listening to new emo bands or whatever. I think because it reminded me of like being an awkward teen, and I didn't want to revisit that phase. But I feel like maybe I'm ready to, but B, I've sort of had an idea of what your band is all about based on context clues, and I did not expect your band to be like huge Blink-182 heads. Well,
there's a few people who are definitely into it. I have to say, like, our drummer definitely isn't. But, yeah, I mean, like, I know for sure our bassist Josh is definitely into him, and I'm pretty sure our keyboardist Katie. But, like, I mean, Josh, our bassist, him and I have, like, bonded over Blink in the past. And, I mean, the first time I heard Built This Pool was while I was in a van with him. It was just me and our bassist Josh just driving. We're like, you know what? The new Blink-182 record just came out. Let's just like put it on. And once that song came on, we both looked at each other and we were like, wait, was that's on the record? Like that, my phone didn't just like go to like something else, like on Spotify. I didn't click like a random thing.
Like, what was it that, like, the length, or like, do you like the song? How do you feel about the song?
There's a lot of feelings around it, which, okay, so I have like this love-hate thing with it. I was re-listening to it today because I was like, I hadn't listened to it in a little bit, and I was like, you know what, let me check it out again and just like refresh myself on the 16 seconds. Right. And like, I mean, the mix sounds really good, and like, it seemed like the lyrics, it's such a relic, I think, of Mark trying to keep some joke stuff still alive post-DeLong. Like, we're so many years past it now, like, where they had, you know, they had the bonus tracks for Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, right?
Yeah, totally.
That, like, when I was, I don't know, like, I was like, maybe 10 when that record came out. You know, I thought that was like amazing and hilarious, but like hearing Mark do it when I'm like mid-20s, I was like, damn, like we already had self-titled, like, you know, I was hoping we were past this, but like, I don't know if like where Mark's coming from on it in some ways. 'Cause it's like, when the record came out, like 2016.
Yeah.
Social things have changed since 2000-ish, right?
Uh-huh.
So that part makes me feel weird. I don't know if he's, you know, being kind of homophobic about it, but like, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
They played their instruments well.
Right. Yeah, I really like that it, like, there's, obviously, we'll talk about how you feel about California as a whole in a second, but I find that there's just way too many whoas and na-na-nas, but at least in this song, they changed it up to this weird, like, Wii U sound that's very odd but fun.
A nice 16-second treat.
Yeah.
With that. Yeah, they're breaking new ground. But I actually just a few weeks ago, I found a video on YouTube that was California track by track, which I'd never seen. It was Mark and oh my god, Skiba.
Yeah.
I was like looking at him, and I just like, but watched the video and they actually mentioned their writing of Built This Pool. I don't know have you seen this video? It was put out by NME.
I've seen them. I kind of just watched them like piecemeal as I'm preparing for the episode. So I'm sure we will at this point we'll have discussed it, but we haven't recorded that part of the episode yet. So let's just sort of pretend that I know what you're talking about, I guess.
Okay, well, they said that Travis Barker had no idea what they were about to do, and they just had him blindly go in and record a 4-bar rock like beat. So, like, him talking at the end is him just saying, it's like, is that really it? That was, like, actually, like, him, like, being unsure, which I had, like, Blink-182 is, like, my soap opera of my life, I guess.
Right.
And like, trying to view the social interactions of Mark and Tom, and then Travis just witnessing it and just trying to be there for them, I guess.
He really is, like, he's simultaneously there for both of them all the time. Like, he doesn't pick sides.
Yeah, he was in Boxcar Racer, right?
Yeah.
And did he play he played in Plus 44?
He did. He played in both. And now even during this Blink-182 reunion, they've been kind of hinting that they're going to do another Boxcar Racer record. And he's like, yeah, I'm down. It's like... Yeah,
he's like, is it Sweden or Switzerland that's just neutral?
Right. I know what you're talking about.
He's just there. He's got the Cadillac logo. He just wants to play some drums, you know?
So back to Build This Pool quickly. What was it that was like, okay, this is no longer just like something we're laughing at in the van, but we need to like actually do this ourselves?
Well, I mean, it was just, it had just been like such a joke within like the band, like we just throw it on, like, and like, you'd hear half the band be like, God damn it, why is it fucking on right now? Like, can you stop? And like, it's easy to loop it because it's so short. Like, in 1 minute, you already have like a few plays of it, and everyone like it for a second, I felt like it was almost a way to punish the band. It's like, right. You wanted to, but like, it just been such a joke. And then like a former guitarist of ours was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna record this like just with like my laptop as like a joke. And like, I remember he sent it to me, and I was like, we have to post this. And he was like, I don't think that was like fully his intention. I think it was just like, oh, here's this funny thing. Like, and this was a conversation one night, but like, then we like posted it on Bandcamp, and like, I made this stupid, like terribly photoshopped image with like Skiba dressed in like Halloween makeup, and like Travis, like a photo of him from the Aquabats, like just like copy pasted, like terribly, like MS Paint quality, like onto a photo of Mark, a screenshot of Mark doing his MTV Cribs.
It's really, I really do like the art. It's really good that you made.
Thanks. Thank you. But like, I didn't think it would be anything, we were just like, oh, this is funny. We'll just throw it up on Bandcamp or something. And then I woke up the next morning and I was just like scrolling through Twitter, and like Spin was like, World Is Covers Built This Pool. And I was like, what? Who found this? I just like, we didn't even post about it. It just like, it's just blindly on the Bandcamp page. Like,
right. Well, that's kind of something I wanted to ask you about. And I really was meaning to like engage with your work, and I'm very sorry that I haven't, because I feel like I didn't do my work ahead of time. But a band like yours that sort of seems, at least like from an aesthetic or surface level, more of like a serious project. It like sort of, what is the attraction to Blink-182, and also, is it frustrating that you get all this attention for like a throwaway joke, or do you kind of enjoy that? Or sort of tell me about your place within the fight between seriousness and joking around.
Yeah. I sometimes you just like kind of want to be a little goofy and just like have fun with your friends, and like, it's like an escape from, things are so, like things just get so serious in life. And then it's like, you know what, this is like kind of funny to me, and I want to just joke around today. Like, we don't have to take ourselves too seriously. Like, we'll have like dumb joke shirts that go up and stuff. Like, it's not what I want. Like, it's not what we would want to be known for only, you know, like, oh, they made this Blink-182 ripoff shirt. Like, that's that band. But, like, it's just, like, fun. Like, you know, to have that, like, combined with, you know, we get serious about, like, music when we're making it and stuff like that. But it doesn't always have to, you don't have to just be in this bubble of, like, that.
Right.
You know?
Totally.
Like, I think like, there's, like, a lot of band accounts, like, you know, it's just, like, they're just going to post, like, their shows and, like, basically, like, serious posts, like, or, like, quotes from their record or something like that. It's going to be, like, pretty, like, cut and dry. Like, if you follow a lot of bigger bands, it's mostly that, right? It's,
totally.
I feel, and, like, I mean, I basically, like, I kind of use it as my personal Twitter a lot, like our account, or like, say, like, Instagram. It's just like, I see something funny, it's just like, this is ridiculous, whatever it is. I'm just going to throw it on our story. Because I know, like, the people who followed us through the years generally have, like, a decent sense of humor and, like, aren't like, why did you just post this stupid clip from YouTube? Like, what's up with that? When are you releasing a new record? It's like, oh, I'm just having fun tonight. If that makes sense. Like, yeah,
for sure. Totally. It's like an extension of just kind of being a human being, I guess. There's room for both.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like, I don't want to feel like we're this, like, untouchable thing, like, not like inhuman kind of thing, just because we happen to play music and, like, tour and stuff like that. It's like, just like normal humans, like, can joke around about, like, Tom DeLonge or Mark Hoppus, like, social stuff, like, if you see it in a video or something, you know, like, whatever, it's fine.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, you did, because there was a couple weeks ago, you were really going, like, deep, like, Blink-155 levels of Blink-182 obsession, and you released a T-shirt. Tell me a little bit about the T-shirt and kind of what the fan reaction was to that.
Well, so I think my band was like, everyone else in the band was just, like, equally as surprised, like, just watching it unfold. And I get a text like, oh, I guess you were really into Blink-182 this week. That's cool. We have a Blink-182 ripoff shirt, I guess. I'm like, yeah, thought I would just make it. But yeah, I don't know. I just got in a huge, just, like, YouTube hole of stuff, like, because the band that had told me about your podcast,
mm-hmm.
we were just talking about Blink so much that, like, I was just in internet wormholes, and, like, I was trying to think about, like, a shirt, like a joke shirt to do, like, for Black Friday, and, like, it just so happened to line up of me just, like, watching old Blink videos and, like, then being like, wait, we could just, like, have a parody of this. Like, I think, like, I think kids were, like, stoked about it. Like, I didn't think there would be much of a reaction. Like, I posted, like, a photoshopped image that it was either one that I had made or a friend of ours had made. And, like, the reaction on, like, Instagram was crazy. Like, I just thought it would be, like, a dumb post. Like, it might have gotten maybe if it got, like, a couple hundred likes, it'd be like, whatever, who cares?
Yeah.
Just it disappears into the ether. But, like, it was just, like, comments of people like, is this going to be a shirt design? Oh my God, this is ridiculous. And, like, yeah, it snowballed. Like, I was posting about Blink for, like, a week, and then a friend of ours made a design that was, like, a parody of the lyrics from I Miss You. And he took, like, Blink's logo from that time and kind of, like, added our name into it. And, like, once that happened and, like, I reposted it and there was, like, a huge reaction, I was like, screw it. Like, this is just, like, going to be on a shirt the weekend. But, like, I mean, a lot of our friends, like, were into it and thought it was funny, and, you know.
But was there any, like, are some of your fans, like, more serious or more purist and are, like, not stoked?
I think there was like maybe a couple, but like, I mean, we've like joked about like Blink in the past, like not like as much as I did for that entire week and I'm sure I punished everyone who follows us by just filling up their feed. But, no, I think, I mean, it's okay. So like with World Is, like the people who like us, it's such a broad range. It's like kind of wild because there's people who are there who are like, oh, you guys are an emo band. And like, they listen to like the records we put out like 7 years ago.
Right.
And then there's people who are like post rock or like super like Pitchfork indie fans who might listen to more recent stuff within like the past couple records. And like, I mean, we've gotten featured on like, there was an article a few years ago, like on a metal website about like non-metal bands that metalheads should check out. And we were one of them because we have some songs that are lower tuned and stuff. And I mean, I've seen, like at our shows, I've seen like a mix of people who like a wide range of genres. Cause like, so our records, there is like a mixed bag of stuff, at least on the last like couple LPs and like some of the EPs. It's a little more like than just like, kind of like what people kind of categorize as emo, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, it's not like when I say that word, it's not like My Chemical Romance or anything like that.
Yeah, for sure.
But,
I think like the thing is, I think I get what your band is, but I feel so like I'm a music writer for a living. I've never done an interview with someone where I've never heard their band. It's pathetic on my part, but definitely after this I'm gonna get into it. But I am very fascinated also because everything we're talking about is kind of like about genres and labels and all these things, and I find it very interesting that you play the kind of music that you do on what I consider to be like a skate punk label / like whatever metalcore was going on 10 years ago. So what's it like to be on Epitaph as the kind of band that you are?
So they're awesome because I heard you guys were talking about Epitaph like on an episode this past month, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I think it's awesome. So I mean, they have like the Parkway Drive kind of stuff that exists, but like they also have like bands that we've played shows with, like Pianos That Come to Teeth that we toured with this year, or like Touche Amore, and like there's like bands that have come from like our kind of world that are on it. It's definitely interesting because they released like The Offspring, and actually one of the first times we hung out with Brett Gurewitz, who runs Epitaph, one of the first times we hung out with him, the icebreaker that like we had with him was someone asked him, so what was it like to be on the Tony Hawk Pro Skater soundtrack? And like up until that point, he was like this, like, I was like a little intimidated, you know, he's like this super successful, like guy, it's like runs one of the biggest labels ever. And then getting to talk to him about that was like crazy. And we were like, so we're talking about that. And then we were like, what's a band that you like could have signed, but you passed on? And he told us that Blink-182 was a band that like friends of his had told him to check out. Oh my God.
And like look into signing, I believe. And he just like didn't for whatever reason. I mean, it's not like they had any like, they had like enough like large bands coming out at that time, but you know, it was funny that to see it from his perspective of like, he was an older guy when they were coming up. People suggested he sign them. He didn't. And then I think after that is when they put out more like Enema, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, all that stuff, and became like what they are, you know?
Totally.
But I mean, they're really, everyone at Epitaph is like great. Like, and a lot of them come from like a punk or like DIY background. Like they get it. It's not just like Warped Tour, like stuff. Like they have some of those bands, but I think they're like really passionate about the stuff they put out. And we talked to a lot of labels before them.
Really?
And yeah. And like when I knew like once our manager at the time, when she was like, Epitaph wants to talk to you, I remember being like, that's where I want to be. Like, that would be crazy. Cause a friend of mine, she had worked there for a number of years, and she was like awesome. And like, once we talked to them, I mean, they have like Converge, and I mean, we don't sound like Converge, but like they have like cool stuff, and they own Anti, and Anti has like a lot of awesome stuff as well.
Yeah.
But once we talked to them, I like felt way better. I was getting like really not jaded, but like disenchanted.
Right.
From like talking to like labels, and like they wouldn't know like actual stuff about the band. They would just be like, oh, we know your like previous record sold pretty well, and like we think we can like make money off your band, kind of thing.
It's like basically like talking to me right now, but someone at a label.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I saw your Blink cover made some waves.
Yeah, no big deal. the grainy like 15-second cover compared to like the 3 studio LPs and like countless EPs and splits. But like, no, that's fine. Like, but yeah, I think they're rad. I mean, what do you think of them?
Well, I think it's just, I guess what has been happening this entire time is that I've lived a whole life of shit talking, and then I just meet people and realize that they're actually rad, and then it's completely fine. And now I'm literally friends with Dan Reynolds from Imagine Dragons for that exact reason. So it's like, I've been making fun of like crabcore stuff and thinking it's cheesy, but I now just kind of find it very interesting. And I think it's interesting that Epitaph is just kind of like a catch-all for punk, but like no one even knows what punk means, but it's just interesting that it all fits in this one umbrella.
Yeah, it's definitely like interesting for sure. I mean, Brett is awesome, and he made me, I always like tell people this, he made me feel jaded.
Really?
Yes, he made me feel jaded, and at the time I was 25. I'm 29 now, and the way he was like talking about bands that he was just listening to, or like that they had just released, it was like when I had discovered like a lot of like bands that I liked, say when I was 16.
Yeah.
Like that, like passion, and it was like it made me feel 2 ways. One, like mad at myself for being like feeling like, oh yeah, whatever, like kind of jaded. But also it made me feel like, oh, like this is possible. Like you can be like however old he is and like still in it and like still passionate about it. And like it still means like these records still mean a ton to you. And like he was totally cool with like, so I've recorded our past 2 full lengths. Because I co-own a studio in Connecticut, and he was like, Brett was like very into like, oh, if you want to record your band's record, do it. He was like, I do it, or I've done it in the past, like you should just go for it. And like, I was expecting someone to be like, no, you can't record your own record. You have to go with this producer because we're a big label. You have to do this and this and this. But Brett was just like, yeah, you guys feel more comfortable recording a record with your guitarist? That's fine. Do it. Go for it. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hear similar things about John Feldman, who I like have only seen photos of and heard his records, and so I think of him as being a villain, but apparently he's just like the most positive dude you'll ever meet in your life.
Yeah, I've never encountered him, but I would believe it if you're, according to Wikipedia right now, he's 51. But if you're that age and you're still like working on like big records like that and like in it, you have to like be like a lifer and like hopefully not like, you have to be like passionate about it and like there for it for real. So like that's cool. Which I prefer Jerry Finn's.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
It was his work. I'm a big Jerry Finn fan, which I own a drum machine that he used to own.
Oh, sick.
Like there was like an estate sale that like went to charity a few years ago on reverb.com. And I basically found the cheapest thing I could because like by the time it got posted, like everyone had bought like the $80 guitar pedal and stuff. But like, yeah, I prefer Jerry Finn. No offense to John Feldman, but
well, okay. There's a few things that I've noticed. Like, I've recently revisited MXPX's The Ever Passing Moment because it came out when I was like too cool for it, but I actually love it, and I'm realizing that record and Enema of the State and all these things that when I was a teenager I thought sounded way too slick, and now they sound just like perfect major label rock music. So I'm curious if maybe John Feldman will sound less slick one day too, if we go so off the deep end with auto-tune and everything.
It might be. I mean, think of this. When like Jerry Finn was doing his records, like recording technology was like just really coming together. Like, and like the strides it's made since like Jerry Finn did those records, like now, like in 10 years, like, you know, maybe like California is just going to be like, that's normal, whatever. It's not too slick, which I think we've been like, I think there's a lot of kids who are like younger who grew up on auto-tune.
Right.
And that's normal to them.
What about like the thing that I find insane is that, is it called, I don't know too much about gear, but is it called like Kemper or something where they don't even use
Kemper,
amps anymore?
Yeah, I have a Kemper. We got one. I got one when we did our most recent record. Yeah, it's just like a fancy amp simulator. It's a lot better than like the $100 thing you get at Guitar Center, but I use it a little bit, but like I still think you can tell.
Yeah, like is that why it's California to me sounds like a back to school commercial or something?
Maybe I think it might just be like the processing, like the amount that you can process things now is just so much more. Like, maybe I don't know. Maybe that's part of it, but I feel like there's more than that, you know?
Right. So is Take Off Your Pants like your record, or what's your Blink record?
See, I'm like conflicted because I like to joke around, but I also like to be serious. So, you know, you get like subtitles, and then I think the self-titled one.
Yeah, it's kind of undeniably incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I recently watched like a making of video or some sort of thing that MTV did for it, which I watched as a kid. Like I forgot about it, but as I was watching this, I realized I had watched it on MTV when it aired as a kid, and just assumed that was like the normal thing you did with your rock band, was like rent out a house for like 6 months and like and like various studios to do your record. But I think it's that. I mean, what's yours?
Yeah, I keep losing it all the time too because it's my whole life. I think in the deepest recesses of my heart is Stewed Ranch, but I also think the self-titled, untitled, whatever. It's just like the songwriting's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's wild. But I think something that you've been doing lately is going on these YouTube holes, and like people were like, "Oh, you can't do a pod. Like you're gonna get sick of talking about this." But I feel like we still haven't scratched the surface with this podcast. Where this episode is our halfway mark of the 155.
Oh my God!
But like, there's fucking so many YouTube videos. There's a lifetime supply of incredible YouTube nuggets to be discovered.
Oh. Yeah, and I mean, you have like MTV, like late 90s, early 2000s. Like where Blink was the band.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I recently, someone sent me a video that was, MTV had a series where they'd get like a few kids to like pretend they were their favorite band and like shot for shot remake a music video.
Yeah, I think it's called Making the Band.
Yes, there's a Blink one, and it has like Chad Gilbert from Newfound Glory in it. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, it's insane they made that. Like, I can't comprehend that right now. Like,
I know, like, it's just, there's too much to talk about. It's incredible. But so you've mentioned some of the things, but what are some of your like favorite go-to YouTube discoveries
for Blink?
Yeah.
Let me think. I mean, what is it? I'm trying to think of what it is. It was, I think one of my favorites is when they were making that self-titled record. It was it something to release day or MTV album launch?
Okay.
Have you seen that?
I don't think I've seen that one.
I mean, it's like an hour and a half.
I've seen like snippets of the house. Just usually it'll be pre-cut up when I'm researching a song, but I haven't like sat down and watched the full thing.
Well, they also had videos. I remember this because how old are you?
I'm 33.
Okay. So totally like you were like totally like old enough to like probably have seen these. Like they had short clips when they were doing that record that they would post on their website. They were like a minute long.
Yeah. There's one with Jimmy Fallon from that era, and it's like total gay panic jokes the whole time. That's all it is.
Oh my God. I don't know if I've seen that one.
Yeah.
I distinctly remember as a kid watching some of those, and there was one with Tom, and he has this broken looking acoustic guitar that's like written all over. And I remember him saying like, the bridge on this guitar is like broken. And my guitar tech told me if this snaps, it'll break my wrist. And like, I remember like learning guitar around that time and being terrified that the bridge on my acoustic might snap for some reason and like break my wrist. Like I was like 12. Like I didn't understand, but.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that Blink is your soap opera, which I really like. I completely agree. At this point in the narrative, what do you think do we need to cancel the soap opera, or what needs to happen?
We need to bring back Scott Raynor. We need to, no.
I mean, I'm with you on that, to be honest.
I think it would be fun to like see him do something with them. Maybe not a full length, but like a couple songs. I mean, where like he pretty much disappeared. And I kind of want the old cast back for one more go.
For one more go. He's actually currently in a death rock band called The Wraith in LA with like a bunch of guys who look like D-Beat guys, but they're doing like, I don't know, the cult kind of vibe. It's really weird.
Is it like, do they have a lot of recorded material on it?
They have like at least an EP. I think they might be working on an LP. I don't know. Like, and he still kind of looks the same, just a little bit older, but then everyone else has like charged hair. It's so weird. I think he tried to stay punk, but like went too punk to react against Blink.
Oh yeah. Do you think he's still living off the royalties of those records? Like,
I wonder.
Like, do you think they gave, like, when he left, like, with a band that big, like, do you think he was like, all right, like, yeah, you get royalties on Dude Ranch and whatever, Cheshire Cat and stuff. Like, does that still sell? Like, would he just be getting, like,
I'm very pessimistic about Blink-182, to be quite honest with you. And I feel like probably the royalty situation is not as generous as possible. But who knows?
Yeah, I guess they were operating under, like, 90s, like, major label stuff where, like, the way they, like, I feel like the way a lot of that stuff gets split, it's like, who was the songwriter on this? okay, that was like your singer or like guitarist. Okay, they get half. Who played the music on it? All right, they'll get like a smaller chunk.
Yeah, like because I heard
And
that
like him just being the drummer.
in Travis Barker's book, he talks about how he didn't get proper royalties for Enema of the State because he was just like a drummer for hire still at that point. He wasn't like signed into the LLC or whatever.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. I mean, I hope Scott's doing okay. I really want him to get him on the pod because he's my favorite member, I think, to be honest.
His life is like, it's interesting to me because I as a kid, I remember reading that he like joined a metal band and like it made total sense to me. Like, oh yeah, he probably wanted to play metal instead of pop punk because like, what was it, the last track off of Dude Ranch or Cheshire Cat? He's playing double bass like poorly.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this was like, yeah, this makes sense. This is like the last song on the record. This is him like playing metal.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. He always also, like, in the really old videos, he seems way wiser than everyone else. So,
Was he older?
Maybe. I'm not sure. But okay, so we've established Scott. They should do something with Scott again. What do you think needs to happen with Tom in this soap opera scenario?
I need Tom back, and like, I don't know, maybe Skiba could, you know how like Green Day had like that guitarist who plays like behind the amps?
That is what I've always, this whole podcast said that should happen, is they should become a 4-piece because they've always sounded like shit with like, oh my God. And the other thing I love is the untitled, self-titled, whatever era. They don't play to any backing tracks and they just openly sound like shit, and every song is way too fast and like it's so good.
Yeah, I was talking to someone recently. I was like, at that stage they were one of the biggest rock bands in the world. They didn't play to a click track, even though that would have been well within their means. They're bringing like a flaming logo that's like 20 feet tall behind them. They couldn't just tighten up the sound a little bit. And like the weird thing is you see like studio videos of them, and like honestly, like any studio video I've seen of like Tom, he's like amazing. Like he's actually like really a tight guitarist.
Yeah.
And then live, I don't know what happens. Like I don't know what magic happens where it's like, I forgot how to play guitar. Or like that self-titled era flanger was like his favorite thing. He was like, oh, I got a flanger pedal. Let me just turn it all the way up so you can't actually hear what the guitar is doing.
But I think without the click track, that makes all that stuff, they seem like a cool post-hardcore band or something. Instead of now, they play to a click track and there's like piano triggers and stuff, and then everything is so perfect that you can really tell how bad they are at singing, and it just makes it all...
Except Steve's guitar isn't quite in tune.
Yeah, like how is he also getting worse at guitar as he gets older?
I don't know, but I have one request for Skiba. If he's going to keep doing it, he can't play a Fender Jaguar because the neck is a shorter scale than like, it's like a 24-inch scale, I believe, for the Jaguar. And it's a shorter scale. So the intonation gets like a little harder unless you're using like thicker strings. And I think he needs to start using like, just use like a normal like Strat or like Telecaster. It'll have a longer neck, and I think that the tuning stability will be better. But I don't know. I'm also curious if he signed a contract when he joined the band, if he had to wear a backwards hat or not.
Well, there was that early photo where he was like dressed like a 90s Hurley skateboard guy. And I think they were just trying to trick people into thinking he was Tom.
Maybe. I just have like assumed it was like, okay, you got to cut the goth shit out. You can still wear black, but you must wear this Hurley hat and like assimilate with the youth.
Well, there's times he's wearing like a fedora with like a weird motorcycle leather jacket and like plaid ska pants or something. Like he's just off the deep end fashion wise.
Yeah. He's had a couple decades of like people going like, yes, that is what you should do.
I had no like background with Alkaline Trio, and I didn't really. It's not my thing. I think it's too late for me to get into them, but I don't know. Do you like him in the band?
I miss Tom. I never got into Alkaline Trio. I saw Against Me in like 2005, and Alkaline Trio played, and I remember Against Me was one of my favorite bands at the time, and I was super stoked for their set. It was like amazing. And then Alkaline Trio, I remember Alkaline Trio went on after Against Me, and I felt like the entire crowd just changed over inside this venue. But like everyone who was there for Against Me was like, yeah, I'm not into Alkaline Trio, and like left.
Right.
And like, I wasn't even really familiar with Alkaline Trio. When someone like mentioned, oh, Matt Skiba's their guitarist, I would literally was like, I don't know who that is.
Right.
And I had to like look it up, and I was like, oh yeah, like I know vaguely who he is, but.
I mean, we're going way over the time I was planning, and I love it. I mean, we can keep going, but I was just going to say this is a huge question to drop at this point. But what is your background with DIY music? What was sort of your entry point, and were you ever too cool for Blink-182? Did you have a phase in the desert that we all seem to have?
I think so. Like DIY type stuff. I mean, like when I was in high school, like thankfully there was like a lot of like just bands from our town who would like book shows at like random halls and stuff like that. And like I started touring in like 2009, played in a band called My Heart to Joy. And that was all like DIY tours, like at the time messaging bands on MySpace, like kind of stuff, like playing bands. And like, it's funny actually, on that tour, the first tour I ever did, I remember listening, for some reason I got back into Enema of the State. Like we were doing like some of the most like punk type shows of like play this punk house in like Iowa to like 4 people and like sleep on the dirty floor. But, I think I hit a stage of not liking them when Neighborhoods came out.
Yeah, for sure.
I think at that point I went, it's not like my vibe. And then in the past few years, I came back into it. But yeah.
So you just you got into punk through like someone putting on shows at school. Like, what was your like first big punk band that you're into?
The first big punk band.
I mean, big for you. Like, whatever. What was like the one that you're like, damn, that was it?
Honestly, it was stuff like less. I guess they were more punk in some ways, but like it was like Rage Against the Machine, like Anti-Flag, like stuff like that.
Right.
When I was like growing up, and like I honestly like I had the Offspring Smash on cassette. It was like I thought it was cool, but I didn't fully get it at the time and stuff like that. But it quickly like turned into like friends of mine were like, oh, you should check out the Descendants and stuff like that. Like stuff like MXPX. It didn't really reach me.
Right.
I'm not saying they're like, that's not in me like talking down on them. It was just like other, like friends were like, oh, check out Fugazi, check out these other disco band stuff.
For sure. So you kind of like, you got into cool shit pretty quickly because of your friends.
Yes, but I liked a lot of other like subjectively bad bands of that same period.
Right.
I was not like, oh yes, these are all like reputable bands. I liked some dumb things still, like, but I mean, Blink was still like fun. It was just fun. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. Cause like I watched like the music videos, like growing up as a kid, like you just see them on MTV, and like there's other bands that I would have seen around that time that I would have been quote unquote too cool for later on, but Blink still was like fine, I think, you know?
Maybe it's like, I feel like part of it is just like the songwriting too is just slightly better. So you can't, even if you want to be a snob about it, eventually you have to stop being a snob about it.
Yeah. And I think I just thought the records, like the later records, I was a very big diehard for like Cheshire Cat and like Dude Ranch when I was younger, but like after Enema, like the record sounded so good that I couldn't actually like hate on it because I would be just so intrigued by the mix. I was just like, how does it sound this good? It sounds better than like almost everything else I'm listening to.
That rules. All right. Well, I think unless you need to tell us anything else about your relationship with Blink-182, now's your chance. If there's something you need to say, if you need to say, Travis, I'm pregnant or whatever, now's the time.
I think we covered like everything and more, to be honest.
Awesome. Well, I do want to say I'm not just like blowing smoke up your ass. I would like to check out your band. So where should I start with your band?
You start. I feel like you would probably be into our second LP, Harmlessness.
Okay.
I would go through that, and then like that and like the most recent LP, you might be more into.
Are those the Epitaph ones?
Yeah.
Okay, sick. That's great. I'm gonna do it because I still am trying to figure out Epitaph as well, so it's kind of part of my soul searching will be that as well.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. The discography looks very intimidating on Spotify, but like start there, just see. Like if like I don't expect people to like the band or not. Like it's like kind of been my vibe is like any band I've been in. It's just like this is what I do and I like it a lot. If you happen to like it, that's great. If not, like I'm not offended. And like clearly we have other things in common, so it's fine.
That rules. Well, no, I can't wait to check it out. And is there anything else you want to plug or let us know about?
I have to say thank you to Jason from Minerva for telling me about the podcast. I know he'll be stoked if I give him a little shout out.
Hell yeah.